Broadway's My Beat, from Times Square to Columbus Circle, the gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world.
Broadway Is My Beat, with Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover.
Of an afternoon in springtime, Broadway stands on a street corner, sips its seltzer, and takes note of its blessings. Baseball scores to discuss, rides getting painted at Coney, and a new taste thrill known as tangerine juice can be found at most hot dog stands for a dime. And across the street, ushers in faded tight pants and gold braid turning green drag air conditioning banners across theater lobbies. Springtime activity. Open your collar to it. Hold out your hand to it. Slip April some skin to touch. And at police headquarters, the trailing edge of afternoon gleamed warmly, making from windowsill to floor the slant of dust motes, and creating the wish that the clock hands would move more swiftly so that quitting time would happen instead of the intrusion.
Danny?
Yeah? Oh, please come in.
Take that chair there, Miss Fuller.
Thank you.
This gentleman is Lieutenant Clover. Danny, Miss Myra Fuller.
Fuller?
How do you do?
You want to tell him, Miss Fuller?
All right.
Well, go ahead.
I told you all right, didn't I? I told you I'd tell him.
Sorry.
I was going to be married next week. I don't know now.
Oh, what's this guy?
Take it easy.
Why don't you show him the picture?
You said you wanted to tell him, didn't you, Miss Fuller?
Why don't you show him the picture?
Okay. Take a look, Danny.
So?
Guy she was going to marry, or is, I don't know. Name's Ernie Lane. Here's the stuff on him.
Wanted for murder.
Yeah, suspected of having killed his wife, June 1950.
I can read, Dennison. Miss Fuller...
Listen, I didn't know what...
Just take the time and tell me about it.
You want me to help you?
Go ahead.
Well, about an hour ago, Miss Fuller walked into headquarters, and she was steered to me because of the nature of her request.
I see.
Miss Fuller said she was going to get married, and she didn't know a whole lot about the guy, his background and all. And before she did, she wanted to make sure the fellow didn't have a jail record or anything. Right so far, Miss Fuller? Well, she told me the man's name, Ernest Lane. I went down to records.
And you found out he was wanted for murder.
What's the matter with you?
Huh?
Of course, what do you think? What do you think I'm here for? Yes, now I discover Ernie's wanted for murder.
Where is he?
Yeah, it starts now, Danny. I tried it, too.
Miss Fuller?
I heard you. Give me time. Give me some time to think.
Sure. Cigarette?
No.
All right.
And I don't want a shot of booze from the bottom desk drawer. What is it with men, anyhow? Listen, I've got a decision to make here, and I'll make it. I don't want a crutch. I don't want...
Take your time.
I informed Miss Fuller of the fact that shielding a felon makes her party.
I'm sure Miss Fuller knows that.
Which means if I don't tell you where Ernie is, you'll throw me in jail.
Miss Fuller...
Yes, what do you want?
How long have you known Mr. Lane?
3, 4 months. About that long.
Hadn't you asked him anything about where he came from, his background?
Of course.
Well...
When I tried to ask him that, he'd shut my mouth for me.
What are you going to do about all this? A man you love has plans to marry, and you suddenly find out he's wanted for the murder of another woman.
You said the thing, all right. A man I love. Look, I really love him, Mr. Clover. You can't ask me to tell you where Ernie is. Not now. Not right now.
You're wrong, Miss Fuller. That's just what the lieutenant is asking you.
If Ernie's guilty, the state will kill him.
Possibly.
And I love him. I will have killed him. I'm leaving, Mr. Clover. You can stop me if you want, but then I'll think of something. Deny all this, something.
Goodbye, Miss Fuller. Follow her, Dennison. Gentle nightfall of April. Glow of spring darkness. And through its crests and deeps and shallows, the passage of a woman. And set adrift in her wake, the official shadow, to blend with darkness, to later report the itinerary of night. And at police headquarters, the waiting, place of muted corridors, place of murmurings and ringings of a city's violence. Wait. On office wall, burst, splash, play of reflected lights. And the phone. The report from Detective Dennison. Myra Fuller had walked uptown from headquarters, had stopped in a side street bar, bought a drink, talked to no one but the bartender. A man, a drunk, had approached her, touched her shoulder, but Miss Fuller had shrugged him off, left her drink unfinished, paid, left the bar, walked uptown again to a bench in the park at the public library. Sat for a while, alone. Then a cross-town bus to Lexington and walked downtown to 39th Street, into an apartment house, third floor front, lights on for a while, then off. And for 20 minutes, Miss Fuller stared out of her window. So far, no one else in or out. Dennison will make a bed for the night against a doorway across the street. We'll phone again if anything breaks. Bid Dennison good night, and to sleep then on the cot in the squad room. Room also of reflected light, reflected sleep. In the morning, relieved Dennison be off at the spot he's made soft in Brownstone. And in a half hour, Myra Fuller out of the doorway across the street, to drugstore for breakfast, to magazine rack for newspaper, armful of magazines, and into street, an aimless, drifting walk through the morning riot. The season's mannequins to observe in shop windows, display of remnants in storefront to be touched, scattered, flung from her, and back to third floor apartment. And Miss Fuller at window to riffle armful of magazines, stare. At noon, be relieved by Detective Muggovan. And later, the report from him. Myra Fuller had gone out in the late afternoon, had stopped in a delicatessen, had bought beer and a sandwich, had walked her street for a while, caught a twilight movie, had gone back to her room. No contacts with anyone. No leaving of the neighborhood boundary. And the night report from Dennison, not different from the night before. In the morning, third day, take it up again. Stake out again, and this time Myra Fuller boards the crosstown bus, gets off at 42nd Street, moves swiftly at a subway entrance, downstairs, and follow her at a discreet distance. And suddenly she turns, points finger at you.
That man on the stairs. He's following me. Stop him. Somebody stop him.
Hey, mister.
That's him. He's crazy. Stop him.
Get your hands off me.
Don't try any more, Buster. I'll flatten you. Me and these other decent citizens. Make a circle, citizen.
Let go of me. I'm from police.
That's right, Buster. You're a lot of things. You're a molester of that pretty lady. And you're police. And you're sick. And us citizens will see to it.
Here, my badge. See?
I ain't up on police badges. Any citizen here know a police badge when he sees one? You? Show it to the citizen, Buster.
Yes, well, I think...
The McCoy, huh? The true thing, huh? Thanks, citizen.
Oh, that's all right.
Thanks. Sorry, officer. I guess I made a boo-boo.
Any of you see where that woman went, the woman who screamed?
I did. She made that train just pulled out, officer, which you didn't. Boo-boo. It's a day for it, huh, officer?
Danny,
What do you want now, Gino?
I bring you a container of coffee, a chopped liver sandwich on date, and nut bread. For this, you're going to bite my head
Oh,
off?
I'm sorry, Gino.
Mayhap you would prefer untoasted rye. If you so desire, Danny, I could run out and exchange the slabs of date and nut
No,
bread.
never mind, Gino. The sandwich is all right the way it is, and thanks.
Use your mouth for eating, not for thanking. Here, partake.
It's good.
A joy to watch you eat, Danny.
Is there anything new on Myra Fuller?
From the time you lost her day before yesterday through the cooperation of our alert citizenry, nothing. She is still in her room on Lexington, where her comings and goings are even now being observed by detectives Muggovan, Dennison, et al. So eat.
She must have made contact with Ernie Lane that day.
So presume she made contact with her fiancé, who was a killer of his former wife, and you missed it. So what's to suffer from
Gino.
it? What's to kill yourself when that midnight she came home to roost has been there ever since? And one day, as I am standing here, the impulse will seize her to make contact again with her killer intended, and you will be there to... the telephone, Danny.
Thanks. Danny Clover speaking.
Dennison, Danny. About Myra Fuller.
What about her?
Half hour ago, she left her apartment, complete with hat, veil, gloves, summer fur, and streamlined traveling bag. She hailed a cab.
You're trying to tell me you lost her?
The way I hear it, it's happened. But not this time. This time, a fellow of the police didn't lose her. I've got her staked out.
Where, Dennison?
Brownstone on West 29th. 1347 West. I'll wait for you outside, Danny. I'll be the fellow without egg on my face. First floor rear, Danny, is where the guy opened the door to her. They had a long hello kiss before he let her in. That's how I wasn't noticed.
Very shrewd, Dennison.
I figured you'd think that. Unsolved murder, a couple of years old, and by alertness, stick-to-itiveness, sheer grit, a chap on the force.
Just knock on the door, huh, Dennison?
Anything you say. McCoy types, huh, Danny?
Try again.
Open up, police! Open up!
No, Ernie! No!
Get back, Dennison.
He shot through the door. Not so coy, huh?
You all right?
Yeah, watch me.
Okay, Dennison.
Thing killers forget. Don't stand too close to a door.
Are you happy now? Are you satisfied now? You did it, didn't you?
Now, take it easy, Miss
You
Fuller.
did it. You made me give him to you. So he could be like that. Like you wanted. So Ernie could be dead, 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 dead.
You are listening to Broadway Is My Beat, written by Morton Fine and David Friedkin, and starring Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover. Tomorrow night, CBS Radio's Hall of Fame Playhouse pays tribute to its host narrator, Lionel Barrymore, celebrating his 60th year in the drama field and his 75th birthday. Don't miss the special Hall of Fame Playhouse tomorrow night. And on the same evening, on most of these same stations, don't miss Claire Trevor on Theater of Stars. Miss Trevor, an Academy Award winner, appears in Taos Incident, a suspenseful story that begins with an innocent truck ride and culminates in a killing.
The April sigh swirls upward over Broadway, drifts, races, sensitive to currents and eddies of night light, and composed of diverse things: springtime anguish of a muted trumpet, whisperings against closed doors, the fleet smile, shopped for, bargained, paid for by the light of the happy April girl of the spectacular. The great sigh mushroom scatters on high winds, then falls, prowls the corners of city, finally touches you. Wherever you are, it touches you. Setting for April violence, facade of brownstone against side street, and a room in it where a man was dead of police bullets, where a woman swayed, wept, moved from wall to wall.
Not like that. You didn't have to kill him like that.
Cliche, Miss Fuller. It was him or us. Let's all break down and cry for a dead murderer. Let's everybody do that.
I
Huh?
wish he'd killed you. With all my heart, I wish he'd killed you.
Miss Fuller.
Don't touch me. Ernie! Ernie. Ernie. Ernie, I love you.
You through, Miss Fuller?
What?
I asked a question. I asked if you were through, and if you were, I was going to ask you to tell us about how much you loved Ernie Lane.
Get out of here. Leave me alone with it. Leave me alone.
We know how you must feel, Miss Fuller, but some things aren't clear to
What's
us.
not clear? He's dead. You killed him. Me with him. How clear can it get?
You came to headquarters to find out
Because
about
I loved him, because I was hungry to know everything about him.
So you found out Ernie had murdered his wife a couple of years ago. That's nothing, huh? Nothing for a lady in love to worry about her fella, huh?
Nothing. I was going to run away with him anywhere in the world he wanted. Anywhere he could love me.
That other time a few days ago when you screamed, got away from me in the subway. This is where you were going, huh, to Ernie?
To plead with him. To reason with him. Maybe it was better if he gave himself up. Then he just held me. Very close. Very, very close. And whispered to me, how could it be better than now? And he was right. Nothing in my life was ever like Ernie. Nothing. Nothing.
Yeah.
Miss Fuller, don't. Please don't.
Instant then of desolation. Small space of time when suddenly everybody remembers together. Death is here in this room, close, lying on this floor with eyes not yet shut. Suddenly everybody remembers, and for a second stands still. Then looks around for something that is alive, movement now, relief. Take Myra Fuller to emergency hospital. Turn her over to Dr. Sensky. Leave her. Night Street is road home. Home is rented bed plus rented niceties, clean sheets and electric sockets, maid service, and keep the radio turned down after 10 o'clock. Place where the world can't touch you. Magazine and easy chair that fits well. Place of sleep. Sleep and be done with it. There's a new day, which means something or other, mostly that you must get out of bed and give the world a reason for your existence. Go to work, look businesslike. Do the things you've been trained to do. Make your mark, be efficient. Wish you were back in bed.
Danny,
Yeah?
a gentleman to see you by name of Mr. Wayne.
Mr. Wayne,
The chap who owns the apartment building where what happened last night happened.
Oh, well, show him in, Gino.
This way to see Danny Clover.
Thank you, Sergeant. That'll be all. Won't you sit down, Mr. Wayne?
Thank you. Well, who's going to pay for the damage?
Oh, I see. That's what you came here.
I've got an itemized list here. That door that was wrecked with bullets.
It'll be taken care of.
And what about Mr. Clark's stuff?
Mr. Clark?
Mr. Clark. The gent was using my place for a hideout. The gent you gentlemen shot. What about his stuff?
Clark? His name was...
Oh, yes, sir. Of course I know. Ernie Lane, the papers said. But to me, for the last couple of years, his name was Ernie Clark. He came to me, Ernie Clark. He signed his checks, Ernie Clark. To me, he's an Ernie Clark, not an Ernie Lane.
I see.
So what should I do with those?
It'll be taken care of.
Oh, it's a shame, huh?
It always is.
Oh, the girl's broken up.
I guess so.
She's going to marry him, and finding out she loves a killer.
Yeah. Well,
I looked in on her this morning.
What?
I looked in on her this morning. I told her just like this. I said, well, oh, he was no good, Thelma. Forget him. Oh, surely it hurts now, but there are plenty of tomorrows for a nice girl like you.
Who did you tell this to?
Thelma. You know.
Oh, sure. Where is this?
Oh, Thelma? Well, she's got apartment 3C. That's my apartment house that I own.
You live there too, Mr. Wayne?
Oh, yes, surely. Yeah. Oh, yes, I do.
Come on, I'll drive you home.
Yes?
You're Thelma...
Miss Reed. Miss Thelma Reed. What do you want?
Police, Miss Reed. I want to talk to you about Ernie...
Mr. Clark? You people shot him dead today. That makes you want to talk to someone about it?
Yes. Let's go inside, huh, Miss Reed?
All right. Let's go inside. Well?
You've read the papers?
You mean how once Ernie killed a woman, his wife? It doesn't interest me. And what you did to him
Miss Reed.
doesn't interest me either. Earlier, this morning. Now, no.
Not anymore.
Some things we need to know, Miss Reed.
This morning I cried.
You loved him? Miss Reed.
There's something I'll have to show you, I suppose. Here.
Marriage license.
For Mr. Ernest Clark for Miss Selma Reed. You want it? Have it.
There was something else in the papers about the woman who led us to him. She was in love with Ernie, too. She told us she was going to marry him. You knew about her, about Myra Fuller?
Sure. But I knew Ernie.
Then you didn't...
Mind? Mind about Ernie and all the living dolls, as he called them? Told me about it. The puppet dolls that came running when my Ernie pulled its string. Why should I mind?
Other women, like Myra Fuller and you...
I think the feeling I finally chose was pride. It made me proud how Ernie was.
Because he was going to marry you?
Because he was going to marry me. To which I obtained proof positive, which you now hold in your hand. Which you can frame if you want.
This license is dated a month ago.
Ernie said wait. I didn't mind waiting. Because...
Go on.
Because finally I knew Ernie would marry me. No one else. Me. Because I'm what I am. Plain, ordinary. The type that makes a good wife. Builds a nice home and keeps it going and face it no matter what. Ernie needed someone ordinary to come home to. Someone who didn't make problems. That's me. I don't make problems. And Ernie loved me for it. And now...
Now what?
Now I just have to find someone else who'll love me for what I am. Like Ernie did.
Danny? Got something, Danny.
Yeah, what?
Made a couple of stops for odds and ends.
Get off it, will you, Dennison?
Technical says no prints on Ernie's gun. Cute? Mind if I go on?
Dr. Sinsky released Miss Fuller, didn't he?
Yep.
Doctor say anything?
Tried to give her a few pills or whatever to quiet her down when you brought her in last night. Only Miss Fuller got real quiet after you left without any medication. She rested for a while, got up, and waved goodbye.
What else?
Autopsy report on Ernie from Dr. Sinsky. Here. Bruise on occiput. You read it.
Means skull, Dennison.
Yeah, I know that too, Lieutenant. I'm just asking to help me pronounce a word, Lieutenant.
I'll help you in the squad car. Let's go.
3 days I case it. Finally, I get into this joint. Proves all you have to do is wait long enough.
That's what it does, huh?
You hate climbing steps, too, don't you?
Dennison?
Yeah?
Never mind. Ring the bell.
Oh. What do you want now?
We want to talk to you.
You haven't done enough, have you?
No?
I'm supposed to ask you in, am I not? Well?
Thanks. How do you feel, Miss Fuller?
Tomorrow I'll start to feel better.
You made up your mind about that, huh?
That's right.
Which way are you heading?
South.
Nearly finished your packing, haven't you?
You walked in on the best part. You want to watch?
All that stuff for your trousseau?
Look, what do you want?
Sorry, I didn't want to bring up old memories.
Let me ask you something.
Sure.
How does it feel to kill a man?
I don't like it.
Well, you killed a man.
Yes, he did. A man you wanted to marry.
Bingo.
And now he's dead. Now you're going to take a little trip. And starting tomorrow, you'll feel better.
End of packing, boys. The show's over. I'll drop your card from Mobile.
You got friends there, Myra?
I will have.
Make friends easy, don't you?
If you were me, wouldn't you?
2 years ago, Ernie killed his wife. Why? Because you made friends with him?
I wouldn't know.
Think about it for a second.
Men are mad, impetuous folk. Did you know that?
You told us you knew him for 3 months. You knew Ernie a lot longer than that, didn't you?
You think Ernie killed his wife on account of me? Well, I guess he did. Say,
Yeah.
it would be just like Ernie to do that. You don't know the things that took hold of his mind. Once he brought home a paper mustache and a big black hat. Well, you wouldn't believe it.
The little things that made you love him.
Yes.
Made you want to marry him?
Yes.
Because he asked you.
On his knees, shyly. It was a picture the way he looked up at me and asked me, Myra, will you be my wife? I patted him on the head, meaning yes.
Isn't that touching, Danny?
Very. Except about Thelma Reed, the girl he really asked to marry him.
Yeah, this louses up the whole act, doesn't it, Myra?
What are you talking about?
Look, honey.
You trying to convince yourself you didn't kill Ernie, mister?
No, I shot him. I killed
When
him.
he was propped up against the door, out, unconscious.
What?
He was slugged before he died, Myra. You set him up against that door, waiting for the police to shoot through it.
Is this what you want to believe so you and your friend can sleep night?
The only way it figures, Myra. No fingerprints on his gun. So who shot at us through the door?
You, Myra. No prints. Done up the way you are, real pretty. Hat, fur, and gloves. Gloves. No prints.
Listen,
So we knocked on the door, you screamed, you shot the gun, and we did what we did.
I did.
you sure did. Oh, I wouldn't feel guilty. That's your line of work.
Now we come to the reason. Reason Ernie was going to get married again, but not to you.
Must have touched you real deep, Myra. A man kills for you. 2 years later, still hasn't married you. Then meets kind of a plain woman like Thelma Reed. That's for Ernie. But you,
Well,
you're the woman who he ducked his wife to meet. Nothing more, Myra. How does that make you feel, honey?
he's dead, isn't he?
First, you came to us, set it all up. You knew we'd follow you. You ducked the lieutenant and gave Ernie one more chance. Ernie balked. So you let us to him.
You slugged him and propped him up there behind that door.
And I shot him.
So what does that make me?
Right now, just under arrest. They'll have the rules for you, Myra.
Killer.
Danny, what do you do with a woman like this? What do you... Shut up.
Killer. Killer, 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 killer.
It's the hurry-up time on Broadway now. The place that's strung into the night like some phosphorescent alley. And they're heaped there. The bright-eyed kids, the voice whispering from the doorway, the stalker, the stroller. It's crowd and it's laughter, and a Nickelodeon where you get pie tossed in your face. It's Broadway, the gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world. Broadway, my beat.
Broadway's My Beat stars Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover, with Charles Calvert as Tartaglia and Jack Crucian as Muggavan. The program is produced and directed by Elliott Lewis, with musical score composed and conducted by Alexander Courage. In tonight's story, Charlotte Lawrence was heard as Myra, and James McCallion as Dennison. Featured in the cast were Georgia Ellis, Howard McNear, and Clayton Post. Bill Anders speaking.
Broadway's My Beat, from Times Square to Columbus Circle, the gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world.
Broadway's My Beat, with Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover.
When April comes to Broadway, the street is wide enough for everybody. Blondes in convertibles, Pekingese in taxis, and sailors and college fellas and convention fellas. It's the place to come to, for one reason or another. To be a tourist, to make a pitch, buy a bargain, get cheated, insulted, or have your picture taken. And when nighttime comes, walk beneath a special moon that hangs high over Broadway. Run with it. Get lost in the cloud shadows that scud across its face. Good time to make a memory, depending upon how much you paid
what you wanted, what you got. And the quality of night on the street where I was hush, lapping against cool gray stone, Sutton Place. And inside, paneled room devoted to books in red leather sets, pipe racks, carved mahogany desk, and jade chessmen. Man-type room for seclusion, for man-type problems, now given over to this, man stabbed to death with ivory-handled letter opener. Also man who doesn't believe it.
It'll take time, Mr. Clover. This has happened to me before, you know.
No, I didn't know.
Several times. Dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And this setup here has a dreamlike quality to it. Don't you think so?
No, I don't think so, Mr. Reed.
I see. So there'll be no awakening from it, will there?
Uh-uh.
Well...
You ready to tell me about it?
Mr. Dayton. Him. Mr. Dayton called me at 7 o'clock at my place, said, bring your book and be here at 10.
Your book?
I'm Mr. Dayton's secretary. I thought I told you that.
Oh, go on.
Oh, I knew my evening was loused up all right as soon as Mr. Dayton said that. Loused up? That's mild for what's happening now, isn't it?
Mr. Reed...
Well, at 10, I let myself in. I have a key, you know. I've been with Mr. Dayton some 10 years now. He gave me a key because these sort of evenings are not infrequent.
So you walked into the library and you found Mr. Dayton...
Exactly like this, and I buzzed you. How strange.
What is?
The dream quality is gone. You know, I'm convinced that this really is happening.
I'm glad for you. Now, tell me, Mr. Reed, what kind of business was Mr. Dayton in?
Real estate. He owned properties from Park Avenue to Harlem, inclusive, both ends. Exceptionally capable man.
Oh. What kind of man was he to work for?
Oh, kind, generous. Always felt for his tenants, wondered how some of them could live like they did.
How about his friends?
Well...
The women?
Exclusively. You may as well know that. The line of business you're in and what you have to do now.
A particular woman, Mr. Reed?
Well, these last couple of months I've sent flowers for him only to Miss Vance. Cecily Vance. I'll jot down her address for you if you wish it. Well, do you?
I do.
Well, you must admit the evening's really loused up. Wouldn't you say so?
Yes?
Miss Vance, Cecily Vance?
Yes.
I'm from the police, Danny Clover.
And I am alone here, and things must be spelled out for me.
Sure they do.
So the badge, please. Thank you.
Let's talk about it inside, huh, Miss Vance?
But nowhere else than inside. Please come in. I know it's my place to think of something to say, something to offer. Just be content with the music coming from the record player.
Let's talk about Frank Dayton.
Frank? But what a nice gambit you've given me. I'm pleased, really pleased.
About Frank Dayton.
An infinite man. A good man. Kind, gentle, forbearing. And I'm a girl who can take a good deal of forbearance. Why do you make Frank our topic of conversation? Pleasant though it is.
A little while ago, we found him murdered. Miss Vance.
This place of mine. This incredible penthouse. This view of the city. And the miracle of it. Every night on the night.
Did you hear me, Miss Vance? I said Frank Dayton
Frank
was...
made it all possible. We were engaged. He showed me this place, and he said, get it ready for when we're married. So deep a fall to the pavement. No, don't touch me, Mr. Clover. I shan't do anything silly. I'm a very sensible girl.
Good. And because you're like that, you know why I'm here.
In the last few weeks, flowers I've had from Frank, but no Frank. And being as I'm so sensible, I would not kill a man who keeps dead memories fresh with cut flowers.
Another woman? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to tell you.
Just simply, so we won't waste time.
There was a March day, soft, lush, and a ride with Frank to view his properties. And one of them where we stopped.
Go on.
Yes, go on. And a girl in a window. A girl 16 or all of 17, all of that. And Frank sat very quietly and looked at her. And I said, say something, Frank, and he did.
What?
He said, look at her, Cecily. and tell me what I am to say of a girl. Of a girl that is a prayer, like the touch of wind in a twilight place. Frank never said words like that about me, about anyone or anything.
Where was this place?
Where else? Tenement. Third from the corner of West 19th and 10th Avenue. Place on the first floor street. You'll know it. Because there is a window there stained with the beauty of a 17-year-old girl. We finished our chat?
Yes, for now. But you'll...
I shall go to sleep and pray my soul to keep. And in the morning I shall sleep. And for days and days. So you'll know. Nighty-night, Mr. Clover.
Leave her. And for a while walk with it in drift of April night. And from a bright lighted room where dancing was, the quick squall of recorded music, and floating on it the April laughter, to mix with river sound, with leaf whisper of a tree in a concrete well, with image of the night's earlier violence. And turn a corner, the street now with no laughter in it, only the man alone, propped against a darkened doorway and murmuring to no one in particular, and to no night in particular. And farther on, the stairs, the room, the sleep. And the next morning is tenement on West 19th, third from the corner. And try a first-floor street apartment. Ask, does a young girl live here? Be told against the music of the time-tolling disc jockey, no young girl here, only a man who's always late for work because musical time clocks fascinate him. Be told, young girl across the hall, Susan Blaine. So try across the hall and be motioned into a room and be told...
Yes, my daughter. Why do you ask for her?
And the woman is a woman who has already, this early in the morning, applied the mask of youth to her face. Powder, rouge, pale glow of lipstick, graying hair carefully combed.
Why do you ask for her?
Well, I'm from the police.
Surely now the child has not involved herself with police. Not Susan, not my Susan. How ridiculous.
It has to do with a man who...
What man?
A man who was murdered last night, stabbed with a letter opener, Frank Dayton.
What has his life or death or anything about him to do with my child?
I was told he came here one day, sat out front in his car, watched your daughter while she stood in the window.
Mr. Dayton owned this house. It gave him the right to sit out front and look at whatever he pleased. And it gave
Mrs.
him...
Blaine...
Please. It gave him the right to come into our home and ask how we were making out. To walk through my house and suggest new wallpaper and new fixtures, and to come back and ask about my child.
Child? I understand she's 17 years old.
You listen to me. I've been married twice, and I've been divorced twice, and I know who's a child and who's a woman.
I'd like to talk to your daughter, Mrs. Blaine. Where is she?
Where she should be. In school.
What school?
You mean you'll go to her?
What school?
The Hollydale School for Girls. Uptown. My child's in class. You're not to worry her. Do you hear? You're not... No, you don't hear. None of you ever hear. Go to her. Do what you like. Now get out. Leave me alone.
So ride the morning streets cross town and up. Skirt the Hudson, the parkway of the daydreamers. The place you're looking for, Holiday School for Girls. Up the driveway between flower beds at first budding time. Park and get out. Onto the porch, clean and set with redwood furniture exactly spaced. And inside the waiting room, trophies for hockey and basketball and cooking, glass-caged. And the marble statue of two girls at the feet of a teacher with arms outstretched and whose eyes are glazed in a stare at the overhanging motto, "A good girl is a good mother." And in a moment, a Miss Mildred enters and introduces herself and listens most kindly to your wants, then leads you outside to where you will find Susan Blaine. Susan is in the garden, Mr. Clover, in the hothouses, and won't you come with her? So walk with Miss Mildred past empty playing field and nod to her theory of why young ladies should be familiar with the propagation of bulbs, ivies, and blooming plants. Finally, the section devoted to hothouses. Go into one. Miss Mildred points out Susan Blaine, tells you she's an extraordinary girl. You'll see why. There she is by the roses. Leaves you. Susan?
Yes?
My name's Danny Clover, Susan. I'm from the police.
Yes. Well, what do you want of me?
You knew a man named Frank Dayton, didn't you?
I know Mr. Dayton. Why?
He's dead, Susan.
Oh, I see. How did he die?
He was murdered.
That's interesting, isn't it? Here's a rose. Throw it on Mr. Dayton's grave for me, will you? Thank you very much.
You are listening to Broadway Is My Beat, written by Morton Fine and David Friedkin, and starring Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover. Tomorrow night, on most of these same stations, CBS Radio repeats an important recent broadcast, Bomb Target, USA. Arthur Godfrey is the narrator. CBS Radio newsmen report from invading air missions from the north, west, and east. In Bomb Target, USA, CBS Radio poses and dramatically answers the question, what would happen if enemy planes struck at America's chief population centers? Tomorrow night on CBS Radio, don't fail to listen to Bomb Target USA, one of the year's most important radio programs.
Spring comes to Broadway in many ways. It rides the rust-stained freighter still rhymed with tropic seas, is nudged into the harbor on the snouts of eager tugs, docks at the river piers, and disembarks. Then softly drifts the streets, gathering sounds of city and odors and dust of city, festoons city in drapes and whirlings of warm light, and rides, too, the fragile vessel of a girl's silken skirt. And windows are flung open and hands stretched out to catch the fall of sun. Time of the waking dream, time of the smile. Spring on Broadway. Where I was, April garden to be walked with a young girl, and distantly the laughter of young girls batting spring across a high net and crouching for the return, and to a path and a bench overlooking the flow of river and sway of anchored river craft and the furlings of their bright new pennants.
Oh, here, Mr. Clover. I've made room. Sit here with me.
I spoke with Miss Mildred. She said it was all right for you to...
Oh, I know. She doesn't care how many classes I have to cut. You know why?
I guess because...
Because it thrills her, that's why. You, what you are, and what's happened. She'll have thrills for months after. That Miss Mildred.
Susan.
And the girls, too. I'm sure you've noticed the whispers and the giggles and the signals being passed. They'll look up to me from now on. Not just because I'm the oldest one here.
Exactly how old are you, Susan?
17. It doesn't matter, does it?
What?
I mean, you'll talk to me as if I weren't 17, but older, and I understand things. Honestly, I do. Lots of things. Like
Like Frank Dayton?
Like Mr. Dayton.
Tell me about him.
The way he sat outside our house in his car that day and just looked at me. I'd stand in the window and brush my hair. And it was nice that he was watching me. And the other things.
What other things?
The times he came to the house and brought things for Mother and me. The rides after school along the river, places to eat, and places to just sit and talk. Places I never would have known.
Did he ever try to kiss you, Susan?
Oh, no.
Susan,
Yes?
you have other friends, other...
Some of the girls. Amy, she's the one with the scar right here on her face. And there's Ruth.
No, I meant boys. You have a boyfriend, Susan?
Jimmy Lomax. Not anymore, though.
Oh.
He was hurt, and I went to him. And after that, I didn't see him anymore. Mother took me out of public school and sent me here, where they're just girls. And I didn't see Jimmy anymore.
Why?
I don't know. Mother said not to worry about it, though. Mother said it didn't matter anyhow. Mother said he'd be all right.
What happened to him?
He was hurt. Beaten, you know. And I went to him. Then I went away from him.
Where was he when you did that, Susan?
Right across the street from me. He had a room there. Oh,
I think I'd better go back to class now, Mr. Clover. And
And what?
if you ever meet Amy, my girlfriend, don't tell her I said she had a scar on her face. She likes to pretend she hasn't. Oh, well. Goodbye, Mr. Clover.
Danny?
Come on in, Gino.
Come on, Danny. Handy up. Drop a coin in the cigar box. Or a folded bill can also be slipped into the slot.
Yeah. Here you are, Gino. So you're taking up a collection for what?
For Officer Pulaski.
Again?
Uh-huh.
Well, how come every 2 or 3 weeks a cigar box goes around for Pulaski? Last time it was for his daughter's confirmation. What's it for this time?
Mrs. Pulaski is going to...
Again? All right.
Thank you, Danny.
Got something for me?
Just a fond wish that one day I may be passing the cigar box around for you. Danny, have you considered finding...
Let's get to work, shall we, Gino?
Very well. To wit, no news on the boy Jimmy Lomack in spite of the All Points Bulletin which is out for him.
Okay, what else?
That Jimmy Lomack did participate in some activity which became the concern of the police.
I'm waiting, Gino.
About 6 months ago, he was clobbered by a skillet.
What?
By an iron skillet which hung in his room and which came with the rent.
He was slugged with it by whom?
This the boy would not reveal. Perhaps due to the embarrassment of having been knocked cold with such a ridiculous weapon.
Let's go, Danny.
Where? Why?
Uptown. Cop on the beat just spotted Jimmy Lomack. Come on.
So hit the streets again, up Broadway, when the crowd is going home. Thread of sunshine, reserved for 8-hour-a-day people. And they walk slow or fast, depending upon how the day went, what they're going home to, if they're going home. And tenement town again.
104 109th Street, Danny. It's the next street to your left.
5-story houses run off on an architect's ditto mechanism and safe from the ravages of sunlight. Find an address.
Officer said the 3rd floor, room's at the top of the steps.
And up the stairs, which will cripple nobody if you're careful, which route has been made scenic by those devoted to the pencil on plaster technique.
Right here.
Fellows from the squad car just parked, huh?
That's right. Are you Jimmy Lomack? You mind if I come in?
You decent, Marva? Sure are. Now, come on in, fellas. My wife's decent. Ain't she? Huh? Beer for the boys, honey.
No, none for me, thanks.
Not me either.
Just for me, Marva.
Know a girl named Susan Blaine, son?
Sure.
Tell us about it.
Not with Marva here, I don't know.
Why not?
Well, she heard me saying the things that... All right, thanks, Marva. Marva, these boys are cops. They asked me about a girl I used to know before we got married. It wasn't like you, Marva. I'm glad. This girl was too perfect to be true.
Tell us what you mean by that, Jimmy.
Marva and me... Well,
Well, what?
pretty. Face like a saint. It's good like one, too. Me, a guy like me, I couldn't bring myself to touch her with my little finger. She was too good for me. I was the first one to admit. Oh, she was, Marva.
How well did you know her, son?
I used to live near her, that's all. Talk with her sometimes. I always had a feeling her mother was watching us. Even we could just meet by accident 2 or 3 blocks away, I had that feeling.
Go on.
Oh, I guess I was all wrong about her, though. How good she was, I mean.
Oh?
Yeah, I saw her step into a convertible one day with a guy old enough to be her father. You never know. Marva, you go get ready, huh? My wife and me have a date.
Jimmy, police records show you were in some kind of trouble about 6 months ago.
The bit with the skillet, you mean?
Tell us about it.
Oh, that's bruises under the dam, mister. Anyway, Susan come over after it happened. She touched me, and everything got better again.
Hey, look, fellas, Marv is a peculiar girl, so she don't
Okay,
like...
Johnny.
See you around.
Oh, I'll get it, Mother. I can open the door, can't I? Oh, hello, Mr. Clover.
Hello, Susan.
You here again? What do you want?
I want to talk to both of you.
Well, I don't want
Oh, I talked with him before, Mother.
When did you do that?
At school. Please, come in, Mr. Clover.
What do you want?
Mother, that's no way to... Please sit down, Mr. Clover.
Mrs. Blaine,
Yes?
you're pretty fond of Susan, aren't you?
Well,
She's too fond of me.
now keep quiet.
She thinks I'm out of a storybook. I swear.
Will you keep quiet?
Well, you do, and I'm tired of it.
Susan,
Yes, Mother.
come here. Susan,
Well, what do you want?
dear child.
And you know what's best for me.
Of course I do.
Oh, stop it. Stop it. Don't do that.
See, she's a problem, don't you, Mr. Clover?
No, I don't see that.
Now, what would you know?
I know this. I know Susan is a very lovely young lady and not a child. Let me ask you a couple of questions, Mrs. Blaine.
Ask them and go.
You were married twice, weren't you?
I told you that myself.
I know something.
Susan, I told you
do
not to...
so. 2 husbands and Mark.
That's no
I
business.
like Mark.
Susan, who was Mark?
My mother's boyfriend. They were going to get married, but he ran away.
All right.
That was the final thing, wasn't it, Mrs. Blaine? Mark's running away.
I don't know what you mean. Mark was a man who used to come here.
Mother.
Who used to come here. I hardly knew him. One day he went away and he never came back.
Susan, your mother doesn't like for you to go out with men, does she?
I don't go out with men.
What about Mr. Dayton?
You know what he said to me once? Susan, someone sweet like you in this mad world, in this tired, troubled, mad world. I don't remember what else. But he just smiled and thanked me. He thanked me for being alive.
All right, Mrs. Blaine, tell me about Jimmy Lomax.
A stinking, rotten
No,
little...
he wasn't. That's what you say about everybody I meet.
You tried to kill Jimmy, didn't you, Mrs. Blaine?
You heard what I said he was. Look at him and look at my daughter, and you'll know why she's too good for him.
Everybody I meet, you say the same thing.
Because it's true.
Because of what's happened to you.
Child, I tell you, I know.
Only I'm too smart for you.
What are you talking about?
Mother.
What are you talking about?
I know some boys.
You're lying.
You see, Mr. Clover?
You killed Frank Dayton, didn't you, Mrs. Blaine?
Susan,
What?
it's not true what you said, is it?
It is true.
Do you know what you are? You're a liar.
Oh, Mother.
Frank Dayton, Mrs. Blaine. Mrs. Blaine?
Well, I went to his house and told him to leave my daughter alone. Stop coming around here. He walked over to me and put his hand on my arm.
Touched you.
Yes.
He touched you. And you stabbed him.
That's right. She can't stand that. I remember there was once a time in the subway.
What do you think of your mother now, Susan?
I guess I'm sorry for you. And you know what else? I'm not going to be like you.
Now there'll be no one to take care of you.
Don't worry, Mother. Don't worry a bit. I wasn't lying. I know lots of people. There's something about me. I don't know. People want to take care of me. I'll get along.
Twilight lies against Broadway like gray speckled gauze, ripples off into another world. It's the street of the hurry-up step,
The past questions, the glances, the seekers after the special smile. And you walk it because once Broadway touched you, and you can't rub it off. It's Broadway, the gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world. Broadway, my beat.
Broadway's My Beat stars Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover, with Charles Calvert as Tartaglia and Jack Crucian as Muggavan. The program is produced and directed by Elliott Lewis, with musical score composed and conducted by Alexander Courage. In tonight's story, Sammy Hill was heard as Susan and Betty Lou Gerson as Margaret. Featured in the cast were James McCallion, Charlotte Lawrence, Lamont Johnson, and Jan Arvin. Bill Anders speaking.
Broadway's My Beat. From Times Square to Columbus Circle, the gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world.
Broadway's My Beat, with Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover.
Broadway, where night slips over the canyon streets like a black silk stocking splashed with spangles. Then it's a flashy showgirl on an after-theater date. But during the day, it wears a sleazy house dress, no makeup on its face, and stands on a street corner screaming. Day or night, it wears any face you're looking for. And it's My Beat. The coolest place at police headquarters on a July afternoon is in the communications room, but it wasn't cool enough. Sergeant Tartaglia and I were taking turns standing under the fan. It was my turn. The sergeant walked over to a teletype machine, picked up the latest call sheet, came back. He was smiling.
Oh, this heat, Danny. It's rough on the police, but fine for the law and order.
The phone buzzer, Sergeant. Your number.
Yeah. Sergeant Tartaglia. Yeah. Yeah, where? Yeah, got it. What time? 1:12 p.m.? Yeah, right away.
What do you got, Sergeant?
It was too good to last. 30 call. Homicide. Be with you in a second, Danny.
Okay.
Commissioner, Sergeant Tartaglia. Reporting a homicide, sir. Dodge Theater on 46th Street, Vaudeville House. Yes, sir, a performer. Right. Sergeant Tartaglia speaking. Put this on the wires. Special to squad cars 19, 22, and 69. Special to homicide. Special to chief of detectives. The special detail. Hey, wait a minute. That's you, Danny. Got it?
Dodge Theater, 30 call. Performer murdered, right?
Right. You squad car 47. See you.
Yeah.
Okay. Back to you. Special to Technical Research Laboratory. Special to coroner. The ballistics.
Your squad car stabs, tears, rips through a city, and its wail is like a piece of broken glass that flashes across its face. You can see the terror, silent and quick, in the blur of the city making way for you. It was maybe 1:25 when I hit the alley leading to the stage door of the Dodge Theater and twisted the car into it. It must have been a comedy act playing in front of the heavy and stained velvet curtain. The laughter and the music from the orchestra pit cut through from the front of the theater and washed against a wall of grim and blank faces backstage. Under the naked yellow glare of a single stage work light lay a man in a glittering sequin-covered suit of tights. He lay there like some muscular statue torn from its pedestal. But the web of blood told you it was a lie. The ballistics man, the medical examiner, the photographer, the fingerprint man, technical research, all worked and moved silently, weaving their way from shadow into light and back again. Then out of the shadows, a dapper little guy named Georgie walked over to me.
Danny, am I glad to see you?
Hi, Georgie.
How are you? These other guys, your colleagues, they're cold, very, very cold. But you're warm and friendly.
Yeah, it's a hot day, isn't it, Georgie?
Oh, you think so, Danny? I keep telling these guys in the front office, the air conditioning in this theater, oh, boy, it's a lie, a fable, an illusion.
Rough on a house manager, huh, Georgie? No air conditioning. Now, there's...
You're so right, Danny. How will it look on the report when I tell the front office there was a murder act in the theater and I didn't even give it billing? Bad joke, huh, Danny?
You told me better ones. Now, tell me about the man, Georgie.
The, dead one?
The dead one. Who? What? Maybe why?
Who? He was an athlete from Vienna. He was an acrobat. His name was Prokosh, Otto Prokosh. And he was an athlete of muscle and steel. A filthy, rotten brain and a nice, clean body.
No, that brings us to why.
I had a reason why. Do you want to hear my reason, Danny?
You lay yourself wide open that way, Georgie.
Doesn't matter. I don't believe in wasting time. This I understand from having once been an usher at the Roxy.
Shall I write it down?
If you want to. This dead Adonis, this murdered Achilles, there's filth called Otto, making tempting noises into the ears of my wife.
You don't have to answer this one if you don't want it, Georgie. Did she listen?
My wife, Ruth? That you'll have to ask her herself. You'll find her in dressing room 6 right up those stairs.
I'll ask her later. Now, tell me how it happened.
This I wouldn't know. I was in the front office counting the house, the way a manager should.
Oh?
Yes, Danny, yes. And you can check on it, too.
Yeah, and I will, Georgie.
Danny, you'll have to excuse me a minute. Say, has anybody seen Lee Emery come in? Has anybody seen Lee? Hey, excuse me. Pardon me, will you? I work here. I got to get on stage.
Sure, in a minute. Who are you?
Lee Emery, dancer. I dance for the people. What are you, an agent?
You're late, Emery. Georgie's over there looking for you.
Oh, what's he got to worry about? He's a manager. I'm a dancer. I'm never late.
The people are waiting for you, dancer. But stick around. I want to talk to you. I'm from the police.
But of course there's been trouble.
Murder.
But of course I'll stick around.
Yeah, Lee, get on stage. There's your music.
Okay, Georgie, okay.
Georgie, what was that dressing room number?
6, Danny, 6.
Yeah, 6.
Yeah, what do you... No autographs, please.
I'm Danny Clover, police. Looking for Ruth Houston. Georgie said she'd be here.
Oh, Georgie always knows where Ruth is, doesn't he, Ruth? He always knows. Except he finds it tough to keep up with a fast package like I.
Pay no attention to Shelley, Mr. Clover. Shelley's a comic. He makes jokes.
Shelley Sheldon. I've seen you.
Oh, you've lived. You don't have to talk to policemen if you don't want to, Ruth. I know a lawyer who says it's all right not to talk to a policeman.
You take advice from this comedian, Mrs. Houston?
What do you want to know?
Georgie was telling me about Otto, the acrobat. He said you could tell me more.
Sure, I can tell you a lot. 1, he was a beautiful man. 2, he made passes at me. 3, I loathed. Does that cover it, Mr. Clover?
Maybe. Why are you at the theater today?
I come down every day. I love vaudeville.
Maybe it's because I make you laugh, huh, Ruthie? Girl needs a man who makes her laugh. And I'm the best.
How did you feel about Otto, Mr. Sheldon?
Shelley. Call me Shelley. Murder makes us all friends, doesn't it, Danny boy?
Let's keep it formal. My suspects usually call me Lieutenant.
Ah. Well, Lieutenant, I'll tell you about Otto. I hated his guts. He was egotistical, vain, selfish, arrogant, snobbish. He loved himself. No, the kind of a guy I mean.
It went like that. Vaudeville actors are just like any other people. They're scared. They're cooperative. They're uncooperative, depending upon their attitude toward policemen and their own conscience. The agile little dancer named Lee Emery was different. I interviewed him in his dressing room. It was like no interview I ever had before. Lee Emery danced through it, a kind of weird, soft shoe ballet to the music of a battered phonograph. It was as if he were a grotesque puppet on strings, and the strings were dangled from some place of strangeness in his brain. I had to blink.
Does it bother you? My dancing, Lieutenant Clover?
Clover.
Clover.
Thanks. That's interesting music you're dancing to.
Interesting? Is it? That's interesting.
Why is it interesting, Lieutenant?
The music you danced to on stage earlier.
Oh, I'm pleased. It struck you. You remember me as an artist.
Well, it was played in a different tempo, faster.
And now it's a blues. Here, watch. End of show, Lieutenant.
Oh, you're a fine dancer, Emery.
Oh.
Tell me, why the different tempos to your music? Doesn't it throw your performance off?
Ah, not at all. You see, I had a half a dozen records made of this music. All different rhythms.
Mm-hmm.
All different moods. Before each performance, I practice the one I shall do. Depends on my feeling at that moment.
Oh, you don't feel good now, huh?
Oh, Lieutenant, I'm in love with the world. Last night I took a walk in the Bowery. I talked with the poor, sodden fragments of humanity who people it. Now I am disenchanted. Next performance, my dancing will be a mirror of that feeling.
Oh, so the orchestra conductor will play your music as blues.
Uh-huh.
Must be a pleasure for him to work with someone as creative as you.
Thank you. Dancing, Lieutenant Plover, is an ultimate within itself. The antics, the grotesqueries of humankind distilled into classic, flawless expression. Now you say something philosophical, Lieutenant.
Yeah. Try this. Did you have any reason to kill that acrobat?
But of course. As a performer, he was a bum. I wished him dead. From a purely artistic standpoint, of course. But you know what, Lieutenant?
Tell me.
I didn't kill him. I am a coward.
You have music for that, too?
But of course. Would you care to hear it?
I didn't care to. Emery looked at me sadly, bowed, and I made an exit. The next morning at headquarters, the reports came in. Ballistics said the bullet had been fired through a silencer on a .38 frame. Had entered the acrobat's shoulders with a downward passage. The shot had come from backstage, from somewhere high in the wings where peeling sets of scenery hung. Coroner's report, death was instantaneous. The solution of murder almost never is. I found Sergeant Tartaglia out of the way and took my turn under the fan.
That murder at the theater, Danny. A toughie, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. It's too early to tell.
Suspects? Any of them?
Goes like this, Sergeant. House manager Georgie Houston hated the acrobat because the acrobat made grand passes at his wife, Ruth.
Oh, jealousy's a good, sound, substantial motive, I always say. Yeah, I always say it's 100% motive.
The modest comic, Shelley Sheldon, he likes Ruth, too. Another 100% motive. Lieutenant Clover speaking.
Lieutenant, I told you.
Who is this?
Lee Emery. I told you I was a coward, Lieutenant.
So?
A man. He was standing across the street for the last hour.
What man? What are you talking about?
Listen to me. I don't know what man. He was watching the window of my room, and just a minute ago he walked into this hotel. Lieutenant.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Lieutenant, there's someone opening the door. Lieutenant!
Emery! Emery! You didn't need a cop's mind to put that shot and Emery's scream together. I thumbed through my notebook and got Emery's address. By the time I was downstairs, a squad car was waiting, its motor running. The siren channeled the street between headquarters and West 56. It took 4 minutes to get there. Emery's room was 3 flights up, and walked back. The room was empty. No Lee Emery, nothing. Correction. The room was filled with Emery's music coming from the phonograph. That, and a narrow streak of blood that wormed on the threadbare grass rug. But most of all, it was Emery's music. It was happy, real happy. I couldn't stand it. The room needed another quality. The quality that came after terror. A sigh, maybe, or silence. And I had the feeling Lee Emery had just bought himself a large piece of that.
You are listening to Broadway's My Beat with Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover. of the most successful dramas ever presented on the CBS Escape series will be repeated tonight. C.S. Montague's story entitled Action, the tale of a man who scales a mountain contemplating suicide and who finds a reason to live when he finally reaches the top. On Crime Photographer, you'll hear the fascinating tale of Durable Dennis, whose head was X-rayed to solve a $75,000 theft. In case someone tells you to get your head X-rayed, hear the story of Durable Dennis on Crime Photographer, as well as Action on the series Escape. They'll both be here just a little later tonight on most of these same CBS network stations. Now, back to Broadway's My Beat.
Broadway is a place that can get happy about a lot of things. A cat in a tree, a wrestler with curls who scents the ring with perfume, even by a swami who predicts the world is coming to an end by high noon tomorrow. Right now, the current happiness was touched off by a rumor that vaudeville was coming back. But I had proof positive that it was dying all over again. Item, a dead acrobat shot while opening the bill at the Dodge Theater. Item, a terrified hoofer named Lee Emery, who left only an afterimage of blood and music. Item, I had work to do. Work was routine. I called headquarters, told them to send out a missing person call on Emery, told them where I was going, and went. When I got backstage, the Dodge Theater was making ready to put on its false face for the first batch of customers. Ruth Houston was standing against a backdrop, considering the lighted end of a cigarette. When she saw me, she looked as if she could do without me.
Oh, hello, Lieutenant. You want to see me?
Does that make it any worse, Mrs. Houston?
Frankly, Lieutenant, there comes a time in every woman's life when she doesn't feel like talking to the police.
Now is the precise instant, huh?
It's like this, Lieutenant. I'm being sad. I'm being sad about a lot of things. Each one takes time.
Yeah, but I'm afraid I'll have to interrupt the emotion. What's making you sad, Mrs. Houston?
This whole thing will just wreck him. This thing of Otto's murder.
Wreck who?
My husband, Georgie. He had a good thing here at the Dodge. He was just going good.
You get sad about Otto?
I can do that, too. Otto thought he could beckon to a woman by flexing a bicep. He needed talking to. He didn't need killing.
Maybe making muscles wasn't the reason he was killed.
It's your job to think like that, Lieutenant.
Tell me this, Mrs. Houston. How buddy were you with Lee Emery?
Him?
Him. Lee Emery.
What could Emery do for me, Dan?
Is he around now?
I haven't seen him. He hasn't shown up for the show.
You don't know where he is.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I wouldn't know where he is. I wouldn't want... Excuse me, Lieutenant.
Sure.
Hello? Hello? Yes? Yes, he's here. For you, Lieutenant, your office, or whatever you call your office.
Thanks. Clover speaking.
Danny, Tartaglia. We got him, kid. We got Lee Emery.
Yeah, where'd you find him?
East River Docks. Anyhow, that's where we fished him out. He's newly dead, Danny.
The wet gray heat had turned into a wet gray drizzle when I arrived at the East River dock. 3 hooded cops on horseback held back a crowd whose face looked like it had a veil drawn over it. And in between the foghorns and the boat whistles, you heard the soft whinny of a horse. You couldn't quite believe it. Then a splash of blue named Muggavan, harbor police, cut through the grayness. Him you had to believe.
Okay. Stand back now. Come on, Danny, hold my hand. I'll get you through this barrier of curious onlookers.
Thanks, Muggavan.
All right, out of the way now. Now, why don't you yokels get in out of the rain? Ain't you heard the song? It's wet outside.
That's a great act, Muggavan.
That's, Danny, it builds. From hatred to love. The surly sneers of the mob become smiles of pleasure when I'm through molding their emotions.
When you get a chance, mold me a ham sandwich, Muggavan, on rye.
Huh? You mean right now?
No, not now. Now just tell me about him.
Well, it's like you see, Danny. First they shot him in the face, twice. From up close, then they threw him in the river.
How long did you say he was in the river?
Not long, Danny. Just long enough to wash him clean.
Yeah. Anything on him?
Yeah. This wallet and these papers, Social Security card issued to Lee Emery. Maryland driver's license made out to Lee Emery. Description, as stated, adds up to Lee Emery. Except for complexion and color of eyes. That, naturally, we can't tell. And this initial ring with the initials L.E., that spells Lee Emery.
Yeah, I've seen the ring. Do something for me, Muggavan.
Sure. You still want that sandwich, Danny?
Call headquarters for me. Have them pick up Georgie Houston, his wife, Ruth Houston, and a funny, funny boy named Shelley Sheldon.
Sheldon? Oh, he's very funny. I get a lot of my material from him.
Have them meet me at the morgue. I want them to identify a body.
Cold place you picked for me to play a matinee, Danny boy. How do I get yucks in the morgue?
I wouldn't know, comedian. You work it out.
You know, this whole reminds me of a theater I once played in Des Moines. Same type atmosphere, same type audience reaction. I was making with bombs, and those hasties just lay there like these stiffs.
Shut up, Shelley. Shut up. Haven't you got any respect?
What's the matter, Georgie? The silent dead make you nervous?
No, Shelley. They bring me peace. That's why I give them respect.
Oh.
Danny, why did you bring us up here?
I want you to identify a body that was washed up in the East River.
Anybody we know?
That's a good question. Here we are.
Oh, the figure is familiar, but the face... What am I saying? What face?
What do you say, Georgie?
The suit. Yeah, I recognize the suit. It's exactly the same type suit Lee Emery wore every day of his life. He had them made in pairs. He always said if you found something that made you feel good, why change it? Is that Lee Emery, Danny?
Shelley, is this Lee Emery?
Yeah.
How do you know?
The shoes, they're a dancer shoe, soft shoe type shoes, the kind of shoes a dancer like Lee Emery wears when he's doing soft shoe type dancing. Do I make it clear, Danny boy?
No, I lived without you. Do you recognize this ring?
Yeah, Danny. That's Lee's ring, all right. He hocked it with me once when he needed some dough.
All right. That's all.
You mean we can go now, Danny?
Yeah, you can go back to the theater, Georgie. They'll need you.
Now, wait a minute, Danny boy. It's not that easy. I've got a twist. I'd like to ask you some questions.
I thought you'd have some. I'll try to answer them, Mr. Sheldon.
Lee Emery, the boy in the box, he was murdered, huh?
We think so, Mr. Sheldon.
That means you suspect that maybe Georgie or me murdered him.
Could be, Mr. Sheldon.
This is the snapper, policeman. What makes me rate so high in your favor? There are others who were involved with Lee Emery.
Like who, Mr. Sheldon?
Like any of the other people at the Dodge Theater. Like Ruthie, the wife of Georgie.
Who are you, lousy
Take your hand.
Hold it, Georgie. I'd like to answer, Mr. Sheldon. The cop, Mr. Sheldon, looks for motive. A good motive for killing the boy in there would be that he knew who killed Otto, the acrobat. That could be you, Georgie, or Ruth. By the way, Georgie, where is Ruth? I've been waiting for you to tell me why she isn't here.
Why, she was at the theater last time I saw her. Why?
She's not there anymore, Georgie. The boys upstairs tell me she's not anywhere. Maybe you can help the boys upstairs, Georgie.
Danny, you mean you can't find her? You mean the whole police department can't find her? Danny, you've got to find her. You've got to.
We will, Georgie. We will. Here you are, Sergeant. Send this call out over the intercom right away.
Yeah, Danny. Attention, all cars. Attention, all cars. 3:25 p.m. Pick up Ruth Houston. Ruth Houston. She is 5 feet 4 inches tall. Weight about 121. She has black hair. Black hair. Dark brown eyes. Attractive. Maybe in the company of a man. Maybe carrying suitcase. Check bus, rail, and plane terminals. Urgent.
Get the squad car moving, Joe. Grand Central.
Yeah.
Patrolman Michikov calling precinct headquarters at 3:45 p.m. Nothing that... Huh? Yeah. 5-4, 121 black hair. Yeah, I got it.
But, officer, that was a green light I just went through. I'm sure that was a green light.
Yeah, I know. Okay, you can go.
I don't understand. Now you say I can go. Why?
Because your eyes aren't brown.
Tartaglia speaking. Yeah? Good. 14th Street Precinct, right away. They got her, Danny. Holding her at the 14th Street Precinct.
Let's go. Hello, officer. Where is she?
In there with the matron.
Nice work, fella.
There she is, Danny.
You can go home, miss. You're not the right Ruth Houston. Lieutenant Clover speaking.
Danny? Muggavan, Harbor Police.
Yeah?
We got something hot. Something directly from the laps of the gods.
Don't make a production out of it, Muggavan. Just tell me what it is.
Ruth Houston. Does the name bring a smile to your lips, Danny?
Come on, Muggavan. What's the story?
As follows. I was in a coffee joint on the pier, like I always am at 9 p.m., so I can talk to my friend Marty Udenfreud, the cab driver whom I befriended. We talked. And routinely I tell him this description of one Ruth Houston. Okay so far, Danny?
Muggavan, the night's so long and lonely in Flatbush. What about Ruth Houston?
Well, Marty has her for a fare about 7:30. Takes her to a pier on the Hudson River.
How did he know she was Ruth Houston?
Oh, she was a looker. The description tallies and the initials on her suitcase was R.H.
Go on.
Then she gets on a boat. The good ship Christina, a freighter.
Great. Hold that boat, Muggavan. Don't let it move.
I hope you have good reason to delay the voyage of the Christina. What can we do for you, Lieutenant?
Now, just tell me where to find the girl who looks like this picture. Show it to him, Muggavan.
Here she is, Captain. A princess. Yeah, she's here. She and her husband.
Husband?
Oh. Your face looks like it is perhaps not her husband.
When did he get on board?
It was very romantic. He boarded the Christina hours before we sailed, locked himself in the cabin, and waited for his young girl. Romantic, yeah?
Yeah. Where's the cabin, Captain?
I will show you.
Just tell us. We want to meet them alone.
It is down the end of this long passageway. The door on your left.
Let's go, Muggavan.
Who is it?
It's Danny Clover, Mrs. Houston. Open up. Open up.
Get back. Get back.
Yeah. Looks like the little lady don't want to see us. Looks like I'll have to open the door from this side. I think now it's okay for us to enter, Danny.
Yeah.
I hurt her, Danny.
Let me see. It's not too bad. Go get the captain. He'll know what to do.
Yeah.
I wasn't wrong. Phonograph. Some records. All right, Emery. Come out. I know you're here.
Sure, Lieutenant Clover. I was coming anyway. That music attracts me.
I thought it would. You okay?
Sure. I ducked into the washroom when you started shooting back. Ruth's hurt, though, isn't she?
Yeah. I'll take your gun.
Here. You're clever, Lieutenant Clover. You're an artist.
Only because you made a mistake.
Play me my mistake.
You shot that man's face away. It leaves more than just that trickle of blood you arranged in your room. But you know about things like that, Emery. Who was he?
He was nothing. An absolute nothing. A zero. An empty circle.
I knew you'd figure it that way. You told me you walked the Bowery for art. You walked it to find a derelict who was the same size, the same build as you. That was his only use, you figured. So you used it. You killed him. You thought I believed you were dead.
That leaves Otto, the acrobat. Why should I have killed a useful man like Otto?
Ruth being here tells me that, Emery. Otto liked her, too. Competition from a man like Otto frightens two lovers like you. So you killed him.
But of course. I said you were an artist. Now, if you'll pardon me, Lieutenant Clover.
I didn't stop him. It needed a touch like that. Emery's dancing to a dirge. This time he danced as if the puppet strings from his brain had been cut away and the madness was complete. When Muggavan came back with the captain, they stopped in the splintered doorway and stood there. Just stood there. But in a little while, the dance was over. There's no fury on Broadway now. It's dawn. The angry avenues of the night are still. But in a few hours, it'll renew itself, the bang and the clatter and the rack and roar and the voice. Because it's Broadway, the gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world. Broadway, my beat.
Broadway's My Beat, with Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover, is produced and directed by Gordon T. Hughes, with script by Morton Fine and David Friedkin. Musical direction is by Lud Gluskin. Be sure to join us again next week, same time, same station, for Broadway's My Beat.
Broadway's My Beat. From Times Square to Columbus Circle. The gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world.
Broadway's My Beat, with Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover.
Broadway, where a pale and hungry girl walks like a queen because Broadway's a dream street. Where a fat man stands with begging eyes because he knows his dreams will never come true. It's a cry or a laugh, but nothing in between. Either way, it's My Beat. On special detail, there are no special hours. Don was at the window of my office at police headquarters when I scribbled my last report. An out-of-town school teacher was trying to beat the heat by using Columbus Circle for a burlesque runway. I buried that one behind a convenient fan, bid the boys a fond bonjour, and started home out the side entrance. I didn't make it. All I saw of sunrise was in an alley, the alley reserved for police ambulances coming home to the morgue. A voice stopped me and invited me in.
Danny, come here.
The man who stood silhouetted in the slice of light was a man who called himself Capek, the freelance photographer who hung around headquarters. You never knew he was there, but he always was.
The quality of dawn, Danny. Who can hold it? Who can imprison it? It is the eternal enigma for a photographer.
Why don't you go home then, Capek? What keeps you here?
That ambulance, perhaps.
Huh?
You see, creative men like me have a devotion. It is always the same. Perfection. Everything neat and perfection.
Oh, so that's what it is.
Watch that stretcher, Joe.
Yeah, okay.
Hiya, Danny.
Hi, what do you got, boys?
Suicide. Guy jumped in front of an 8th Avenue subway.
I didn't know anything about it.
Well, not your department, Danny. See you later.
See what I mean, Danny? Neat and perfection. The man they're bringing in, for instance.
What's neat about him?
That was Jimmy Dorn, a Cinderella man who only the other day won $17,000 on the Irish sweepstakes.
What?
You must have read about him, how no newspaper, no newsreel could get a picture of him.
Yeah, I remember. He was shy. I liked him for that.
But I have a picture of him.
Oh? Dead or alive?
Alive, of course. Dead is for any hack with a brownie.
Got it with you? Mind if I see it?
No harm. I've already sold it to the news. Here, look at it, Danny. Note the delicate play of light and shadow, the exquisite...
This guy looks happy. I never seen anybody look that happy.
Because Capek took it at the moment of Jimmy Dorn's greatest joy, the supreme ecstasy of winning $17,000.
Yeah, to each his own. How did you get it when no one else could?
The famous Capek tact. It cost me $50 to arrange it. But the news paid me twice that.
That much, huh?
When Mr. Dorn committed suicide, it raised the price. You see, in the newspaper game, one must know.
Excuse me, Capek. Danny Clover. Give me the dope on a suicide name of Jimmy Dorn. Yeah, I know it's not my department. I'm nosy. Yeah. Lily Dorn. 3rd Avenue. Okay, that's enough.
You have the look, Danny. You smell something, maybe?
Maybe. Be with you in a second, Keeper. Hello, Benny. Danny Clover. That Jimmy Dorn suicide. Tell the chief I'm going to look into it. Yeah, Benny, yeah, I know, but it bothers me. Sure, I'll grab some sleep on the subway.
I asked you, Danny, you smell something, maybe?
Why should a guy let a subway train make his wife a widow with $17,000 orphan dollars? Why should all that sudden dough make him want to commit suicide?
Is it such a secret why men destroy themselves?
Yeah, to me. It's not neat, K-Pack. It just ain't neat. Third Avenue is a tenement 5 stories high and miles long. At 9 o'clock in the morning, it was going full blast. The elevated, housewives hunched in open windows, kids flipping pennies against the wall, and every 7 minutes it screamed. Somewhere between Sam Chu's hand laundry, special attention paid to pleated dress shirts, and the Blue Star delicatessen, cream soda and hot pastrami 2 bits, somewhere between there was a doorbell. I pushed it.
Yeah? What do you want?
My name's Danny Clover. I want to see Mrs. Dorn.
Suddenly, everybody wants to see Mrs. Dorn. Suddenly, I'm a popular lady. Suddenly,
I'm from the police, Mrs. Dorn.
You guys don't quit, do you? All right. Come on in. You want to know how it is to win $17,000? Is that what you want to know?
Look, Mrs. Dorn, I'm sorry about your husband.
Oh, sure. You can feel any way you like.
Tell me about your husband.
Jimmy?
Yeah.
I'll tell you about him. Jimmy didn't like people. He got afraid of them once, and he never got over it.
Why?
You know, I don't know. He was always running, and I ran with him. I was his wife, Mr. Clover. I didn't need to know any more than that.
But maybe you understood why he refused to see any reporters when he won all that money.
Listen, my husband was a frightened little man who won a sweepstakes. It bought him an obituary.
That doesn't tell me much. This room tells me more.
This rat hole. This room says that, doesn't it? Rat hole.
I didn't say that, Mrs. Dorn. I'm talking about that circus poster on the wall. Patsy Mack presents the 3 whirling tornadoes. Was your husband a whirling tornado?
You can go now, policeman. You said your questions. Now go.
Brody, please. Why didn't you stay in that room? They can't do anything with us now.
Come right on in, mister. Who are you?
I'm a clever boy. I don't win sweepstakes, but I stay alive.
Yeah, real clever. Now, what about this circus poster?
It covers the cracks in the plaster.
3 whirling tornadoes. 3 men riding motorcycles in a barrel. Mrs. Dorn, for a frightened man, your husband made a dangerous dollar.
Look, I told you all I know. Maybe you ought to get out of here.
Why should a poster come between us, Mrs. Dorn? We were getting along fine.
You heard the lady, copper. She's saying she's finished talking.
That's right, Mrs. Dorn?
Yeah.
What did you say?
I said that's right.
Maybe I should have let it alone, got some sleep. But it kept eating at me. When I found out Jimmy Dorn rode a motorcycle in a barrel, everybody got unhappy. I don't like it when it gets unhappy. So I took a walk and found myself on Broadway in front of a tired building that has a lot of names. You take your choice. You walk up 4 flights and you get 4 offers. You're perfect for a fairy tale ballet that's opening in Newark. You make a stunning cover in a muscle magazine. Can you play first trumpet with a Bop Hawaiian outfit? If you got a song that's trying to be published, call it a slight fee, of course. And on the 5th floor, you find what you were looking for. The office of Patsy Mack, promoter, entrepreneur, and a dollar guy.
Well, it isn't Danny Clover.
Hi, Patsy.
You still pounding the stem, Danny? Aren't you ever going to be promoted?
Promotion means a desk job away from Broadway. Who wants that?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Can I give you something?
Yeah, grape juice would be keen.
I've got 3 fingers left of a bottle given me by a bearded lady who was enamored of my social standing. It'll bring a smile to your lips.
You drink it, Patsy, and thank her from me, Patsy. Send her a dozen blue roses, or is it red roses for a bearded lady?
Yeah, I'll do that. She'll appreciate it. She loves delicate things.
Don't they all? Patsy, tell me a story.
Okay. Now let me see. Oh, have you heard the one about...
Tell me the one about the 3 whirling tornadoes.
The 3 tornadoes?
What fond corner of your memory clutched onto them?
Tell me about them.
Well, I don't remember much about them, Danny. They've been out of the business a long time. The 3 tornadoes, huh? Well, there were 3 of them.
Thanks. There was no one else connected with them.
Oh, no. The tornadoes ran their own carny. Toured the villages and the metropolises.
Patsy, you got a reputation for remembering every act that ever played a circus or carnival. What were their names?
Oh, you put me on my metal, boy. Now, let me see. There was Jimmy Dorn.
Dorn?
Yeah, I think. Oh, see. Could he be the one who ended up under a subway this morning?
I'll look into it. Who were the others, Patsy?
Well, there was a fellow named, let me see now, a Russian kind of a name, Danilov. Yeah, that's it, Joe Danilov.
Joe Danilov. And the third?
Oh, now you're pressing me, boy. The third was a man named, let me see, Brady? No, that wasn't it.
Could it have been Brody?
Brody, that's it. Well, how'd you know, Danny?
Brody, it's a short jump. I'll try real hard. You're sure there was no one else connected with the act?
Well, now come to think of it, there was another guy.
Yeah?
He backed the show, I think. His name doesn't register, Danny.
This guy whose name doesn't register. Was it you?
Oh, are you kidding? I had nothing to do with the tornado.
Well, Hanksy, thanks a lot. You're a gentleman and a scholar, Patsy. And a liar. I left Patsy there waving his jaw at nothing, which was about what I had. Nothing. An ex-carnival performer wins $17,000 and dies under the wheels of a subway train. They say he jumped. Why should he do a fatal thing like that? Why should Patsy lie to me? A one-sheet poster said, Patsy Mack presents the 3 whirling tornadoes. Patsy had just told me he had nothing to do with the tornadoes. Well, there's another guy I know, in another place I know. His name's Pop, and he takes care of the file room of a magazine. Magazine that tells a lot about people, especially the people are show people. The file room was deserted except for Pop.
What you doing down here, Danny?
Wrangling, Pop. Oh, you don't have to hide that comic book from me.
My wife packs it with my lunch, Danny. Now, you take this one.
Yeah.
Sandra, the Jungle Queen. Ain't she a honey? Makes a man with me.
Yeah, she's keen. What are you holding on a guy named Joe Danilov, Pop?
Take a second to find out. How was that name again?
Danilov, Pop. D for doll, A for avenue, N for...
Avenue N?
Yeah, avenue N, Pop.
Yeah, got it. Only, you didn't spell it right, Danny.
You didn't let me finish.
Didn't need to. Here's the file on Joe Danilov, all right. Only it's D for dead.
Let me see that. Joe Danilov, ex-carnival performer, a member of the 3 tornadoes, was found dead today at the bottom of an elevator shaft. Danilov left no survivors, his wife having died a year ago. Hey, how about this?
How about what?
Listen, a week before his death, Danilov came out of obscurity to win a cross-country motorcycle race with a purse of $1,000.
So he made funeral expenses. That's hot news, huh?
Last night, another man, a man named Jimmy Dorn, came out of obscurity to win a lot of money. He died, too. 2 whirling tornadoes all played out, one after another.
You know something, Danny?
What?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, sorry, Pop. I was playing with a jigsaw puzzle.
Well, you sit right down there and do just that. I'm going upstairs for some coffee. You want some? Coffee, Daddy. Want some?
Yeah, your coffee. Be nice, Pop.
I'll just be a few minutes. Don't let anybody kidnap Sandra, the Jungle.
Yeah. 2 whirling tornadoes. The third one named Brody. Maybe you'll blow away, too. Brody and the bitter widow Dawn, and Patsy Mack, the sweet guy who told lies. That you, Pop? Oh. I never knew what it was that slugged me on the back of my head. It wasn't a comic book, and whoever did it wasn't Pop. Just before I hit the floor, I had a flash. It wasn't Sandra, the Jungle Queen, either.
You are listening to Broadway Is My Beat with Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover. A number of paying guests mysteriously disappear. 2 elderly spinsters who entertain them have a suspiciously rising bank account. And it's a murder farm story for Casey, crime photographer, to explore on CBS tonight. Also on CBS tonight, you'll hear the network's famous series, Escape, in place of Suspense, while Suspense is on summer leave of absence. Tonight's opener on Escape will be John Russell's famous story, The Fourth Man, a tale of a Pacific Islander adrift on a raft with 3 murderous companions. Be sure to hear Murder Farm on Crime Photographer and The Fourth Man on Escape tonight. They come to you on most of these same CBS stations. And now back to Broadway's My Beat. You win a lot of money or die violently or do both, and Broadway will know all about you. You get your name and your picture in the morning editions. Then Broadway won't care anymore. But I care. Maybe it's because I've got a cop's curious mind, but it bothered me why Jimmy Dorn died. So I made it my personal business. And so far, business was rotten. I was on my back when Pop brought me to. It took a little longer to find out that the press clippings I was looking at weren't around. That's a new one. Rolled for some old press clippings. This needed thinking. To think, a cop's got to eat. To eat, there's a classy sidewalk cafe on the corner of Broadway and 47th where you stand up to a hot dog and a cup of coffee that dares you. I threw a lump of sugar at it when someone tapped me on the shoulder.
Hello, Danny. Mind if I join you?
Oh, K-Peg, not at all. Grab a napkin.
Danny, somehow you look unsymmetrical today. What happened to your head?
I had it done over.
Oh, you detectives, always intruding yourselves into violence and danger. Who did it, Danny?
Person or persons unknown.
Well, you should go home and get some rest.
Yeah, what about you, K-Peg? Don't you get any sleep either?
I am a vain man, Danny. I've been waiting for the noon edition of the news to come out. It has the picture I took of Jimmy Dorn. Look at it, Danny.
Yeah.
Is it not a magnificent reproduction?
Yeah, it's quite a picture. How'd you catch the expression?
For an artist like me, it is a matter of precise timing. But somehow, I feel the caption beneath this picture is not right.
What do you mean?
I feel the caption should not read suicide. It should read murder.
Oh? Makes you say that?
I have captured death in my pictures for a long time, Danny. This is the face of a man whom death was about to touch with murder, not with suicide.
You talk prettier, but you think like a cop.
The elements for murder are 3, Danny. A widow with $17,000, perhaps a boyfriend, and... Wait a minute, Danny. Where are you going? You haven't touched your...
I've got to make a call.
So you can't eat first?
Who calls on a rich widow with onions in his breath? Hey, you up there. You at the window.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Oh,
Hello.
hello.
Mrs. Dorn, isn't she home?
You want somebody, mister?
Mrs. Dorn. I've been ringing her bell. Where is she?
Oh.
You know where Mrs. Dorn went? There's no light downstairs.
Her?
Yeah, her.
Oh, sure, she had a date for across the street.
What?
For across the street, mister. The Eagle Tavern. I saw her go in there with a guy.
The Eagle Tavern took up 40 front feet of sidewalk, and its insides were designed to take up thousands of man-hours of loneliness. Right now, there were only 3 lonely people. The bartender, Mrs. Dorn, and Brody. Mrs. Dorn and Brody were standing at the end of the bar trying real hard. I hated to do it, but I decided to ruin their evening for them.
You don't know when to quit, do you, Clover? Why do you keep coming around?
Like I was saying, Mrs. Dorn.
What are you drinking, Mac?
Nothing at all.
Yeah, you can nurse that a long time.
Mr. Clover, look. Please, we don't want any trouble. We got all the
It's this way, Mrs. Dorn. A long time ago, a man named Joe Danilow fell down an elevator shaft and was killed. Seems like he was nobody until he won a motorcycle race. Then he got his name in the papers. Then he died. What does that do to you?
What should it do to her?
I'll try a refresher. Joe Danilow was a whirling tornado. He belonged in your husband's act, Mrs. Dorn. Try to react on that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You got your reaction, Clover. Now blow.
Mrs. Dorn, you know your husband just might have been murdered.
No.
Try it, Mrs. Dorn. Consider it.
You've got no manners at all. All you've got is a loose mouth.
Wait a minute, Brody. The man said somebody might have killed Jimmy. Do you think so, Brody?
This guy's trying to put poison in your brain, Lily. Don't listen to him.
You think I shouldn't, huh?
Why should you listen to you, Brody?
Go read a book, copper. Go read a book and find out why I should hang around a woman who's married to my best friend, Jimmy Dorn.
Maybe you're waiting for him to die.
He did, didn't he?
Yeah. I never thought of it before. Jimmy's dead, and that makes you number 1 boy to a lady who just inherited $17,000.
That'll teach you, Lily. That'll teach you not to talk like that.
Talking to a woman's easy, Brody. This will be a little...
Hey, what are you doing? Hey, you can't play in here.
Stop it!
I'm running a decent joint.
Stop it!
Lily, I'm sorry. Don't cry, Lily. Please don't.
to him, Brody. Tell him what he wants to know. Tell him what you never told me. What happened back there 10 years ago? Why were you and Jimmy always fighting? Tell him, Brody.
Take off, copper. You've done your bit. Take off and feel filthy about the whole thing.
Sure, only you fascinate me, Brody. If you didn't shove Jimmy Dorn in front of a subway train, what keeps you alive? First Joe Danilov, then Jimmy. There's hardly a breeze left of the three whirling tornadoes. What's keeping you alive, Brody? Now there was a guy I just had to see. Capek. There was a chance he had taken more than one picture of Dorn. Maybe in the background I'd see a familiar face. Out in Sea Beach near Coney Island, I found the door with Capek's name on it.
Oh, it's you, Danny. Come in, come in,
I didn't
come
want to
in.
disturb you, Capek, but I just wondered if you took any more pictures of Dorn besides the one that ran in the news.
Oh, I am not like other photographers, Danny, who take dozens of pictures to get one good one. I take only one, and it is always perfection.
So the one in the news is the only one?
Yes. It is important that there should be other ones?
It might have been. Well, it's quite a gallery you have on the wall.
Yes, yes. Come look, Danny, come look. This one, Danny. This girl who looks like a tired angel on a lonesome street.
Yeah, nice.
And look, and this one, a derelict asleep in the gutter. It has the texture and the lighting of a Rembrandt, though.
Now, Capek, a man of your talent could live in a penthouse with dancing. Why do you live here?
I get some of my best results here.
Yeah, everybody gets some. Hey, you must have got there fast for this picture.
Oh, that one, yes. Well, you know my deal with the police. The minute anything violent happens, I go out with you. I get a picture. You get a body.
Who was it?
That is a man who was once Joe Danilov.
Danilov, huh?
Yes. I took this picture just after he fell down the elevator shaft. The mood of finality was magnificent.
Very dramatic, Capek. Danilov was one of the three whirling tornadoes. Did you know that?
So? Well, to me, Danilov was simply a man who fell down into space and died. The picture captures the sensation, don't you think? The down-sweeping lines, the shadows like a dark caress, the broken form like some grotesque passion, everything neat, everything...
I don't think Capek even saw me open the door and leave. It's a long subway ride and a transfer back to Broadway. Coming up from an underground of naked concrete into the blare of 49th Street, well, there's a magic to it. I didn't have time to enjoy it. I had a job to do and a chance to take. And the chance paid off. Patsy Mack was in his office working late.
Okay, Danny, so I lied to you about my connection with the tornadoes. And why not? First Joe Danilov, then Jimmy Dorn. Next, maybe me. Why should I take a chance?
They were accidents, the people say.
Oh, not just accidents. Danny, not that kind.
Tell me, Patsy, why do you think you'll be next?
I don't know. This looks like everybody connected with the tornadoes is written down in a little black book.
Tell me more, Patsy.
This time I'm leveling, Danny. Once I managed the tornadoes, but I dropped them like they were a basket of snakes.
Why? What did they do?
Remember, I told you there was another guy, their backer?
Yeah.
Well, he got sick. He went to a sanitarium. While he was there, the tornadoes robbed him of everything he ever had.
All three of them did that?
Yes. Danilov, Brody, and Jimmy Dorn.
Danilov and Dorn are gone. That leaves only Brody, plus the widow Dorn and $17,000. Were you ever in a sanitarium, Patsy?
No. But they might put me away for slugging a cop. Oh, what do you want me to do, Danny? Cross my heart and hope to die?
Nothing easier than that. Use your phone for me.
Anything for a friend, Danny. But you are my friend, aren't you, Danny?
Call Billboard for me.
Oh, what?
Personal ad, Patsy. A personal ad on the front page where a guy in the show business would be sure to see it. You phrase it.
Phrase what?
Just this. Anyone connected with the act, the whirling tornadoes, meet at the entrance to Crescent Midway on Coney Island tomorrow night at 11. Have information to wind up affairs of the tornadoes. Phone that in, Patsy.
Because you say so, friend?
Because the police say so. And Patsy.
Yeah?
Sign your name to it. So I had it all set up. This case had murder in it, and I was pretty sure I knew who the murderer was. It was a matter of supplying a pigeon. That was me. The next day, two things happened. The ad was on the front page of Billboard, and rain came. When I hit Coney Island 10:30 that night, it was a wet desert. Neon reflections and stragglers and empty rides. The place was shadows on peeled paint and shadows on shadows. I had to spot the killer before he spotted me. So I picked one of the darkest places under the framework of the roller coaster and walked into it. I really walked into it.
Danny, there's such a night you picked to enjoy Coney Island. On a night like this, it is a dismal alley.
I'm in a dismal mood, K-Peck, and that gun you're holding doesn't make it any brighter.
It gives me the bravery to give orders to a policeman.
You shoot me, you'll be out of character, K-Peck. How are you going to make it look like an accident?
I have other ideas. First, I put my gun in my hand in my pocket. Now I say to you, let's go. Walk, Danny, walk.
You know, K-Peck, I think you loused up the job. A long time ago, you told me everything was neat and perfection. You forgot to tell me you put up the dough for the whirling tornadoes before you went to the sanitarium.
So?
So you killed Danilov and Dorn. But Brody gets away, huh?
Brody in time, policeman. But first you and I take a ride on a roller coaster.
Yeah. I was wondering how you'd manage it.
Neat and perfection, Danny. Now get on. I'll pay for the tickets when the ride is over. In here, Danny. You get in the first car. I'll sit in the car behind you.
How are you going to work this, K-Peck? You going to slug me and heave me over? Like I said, you can't shoot me. Then it wouldn't look like an accident.
In a few seconds, when we get to the top, you will see. And now keep your hands to your sides, Danny. That's better.
Going to get a picture of this one, too, K-Peck?
When we get to the top, you will see.
The top was 2 seconds away.
Now, Danny, stand up. Stand up.
I stood up. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw him rise,
See
too.
how I
Take the
make
gun
it
out of
look
his
like an
pocket, its
accident,
barrel in
Danny?
his fist. His arm came up in a wide arc, and that was the break I was waiting for. His body arched forward to strike. I twisted, grabbed his hand and elbow, and whew!
Let go of me, Danny!
How long can a roller coaster ride last? Long enough. Long enough to piece together the jagged edges of some frightened lives. Danilov and Dorn murdered. Murdered because they'd crossed a twisted man named K-Peck. Brody and Patsy Mack hugging the shadows because they were afraid of K-Peck's revenge. And Lily Dorn with a handful of dust and dollars.
You pay for the ride here, mister. Hey, you didn't take that ride all by yourself.
Yeah. A little while later, an ambulance came and picked up the dead, broken body of K-Peck. They took a picture of him, too. I caught a ride back to Broadway in a prowl car. It stretches out in front of you, this street called Broadway, like a midway to some cruel and fantastic circus. And you're the performer. You can walk the high wire or play it safe in a cage. Me, I guess my dodge is the wire. I'm the gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world. Broadway, my beat. Broadway's My Beat, with Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover, is produced and directed by Gordon T. Hughes, with script by Morton Fine and David Friedkin. Musical direction is by Lud Bluffkin. Be sure to join us again next week, same time, same station, for Broadway's My Beat.
Broadway's My Beat, with Anthony Ross as Detective Danny Clover.
Broadway's My Beat.
From Times Square to Columbus Circle, the gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world, where your safest bet is on the time of day. And even that they'll fix if they can figure an angle. It's not a street, it's a merry-go-round, where you can't tell whether that pretty girl sitting over there in the convertible parked by the curb should be called Dimples or Double Cross. Well, that's the street I'm walking, and I got a little time to kill before I check in at the precinct station house, so I decided to look in at Stillman's Gymnasium, where box fighters work out, and watch the kids spar a few rounds.
How's it, Lieutenant?
Usual bunch of two-bit gamblers and matchmakers standing around on the sidewalk outside. And upstairs, a mob of guys watching the two practicing. I see a fight manager I know called Jack Siegel. He sees me, too.
Hey, Lieutenant, you're up early today.
Jack, boy, you're looking good.
Hog fat, Danny. A habit of eating.
I hear a lot of people speak very highly of that habit in my time. Who are you eating off these days?
Is that a way to talk, Danny? You mean what future champion's destinies am I guiding at the moment?
Have it your way, Jack. You got a good prospect?
You mean you don't know?
No.
The leading welterweight contender? The best counter-puncher since Joe Gans? The pride of Hell's Kitchen? You don't know?
When the day comes that you don't have the latest sensation.
Only this time for real, Danny. Look, ring one. The boy in the green jersey and sweatpants.
He's a welterweight.
He'll make the weight.
Hey, you know, I think I know that boy.
Terrible Terry Rogan. I teach him everything.
Sure, he's got a fight coming up at the Garden this week, hasn't he?
And the winner to get a crack at the title.
Terry Rogan, is it? You know, I remember him when his name was Rogansky or some such, and he's fighting in the police athletic league.
That's the boy.
Yeah, he's good. I like these quick welders.
Well, that's all. He's gone 3 rounds. He's through. You want to say hello, Lieutenant?
Yeah, I'd like that, John.
So come with me. How are you feeling, kid?
Okay. Some sparring partners you get for me.
What's the matter with him?
Keeps giving me the heel of his club and the laces. All the time in the clinches, I get string in my mush.
So? What do you think Perini will be giving you Friday night?
Hiya, Terry.
This here's Lieutenant Danny Clover, Terry. Shake hands.
Hey, I remember you. Lieutenant Clover,
Sure, the PAL fight 3-4 years ago.
Sure. I remember you telling me how you was a fighter yourself years ago.
Yeah, but
you, Danny? This I never knew.
You can look it up. Right after the first war, I win 5 fights in a row, and then...
Yeah?
Then I lose 5 fights in a row. Look it up. Hey, you better get your robe on, kid.
Oh, yeah. You want to come back in the locker rooms, Lieutenant? Chew the fat?
Yeah. So you're going at the Garden Friday night, huh?
Yeah, that's right. Say, Lieutenant, remember that night in the PAL finals? I was just a kid then, Jack, fighting feather. Lieutenant here was in my corner.
Hey, what about Friday? You going to take this Perini?
Oh, who knows?
They were quoting odds yesterday, Danny. Terry's 2-1 to take him.
Yeah.
You should have seen that PAL final, Jack. It was before I knew how to use my right. I win that final with just my left hand, right, Lieutenant?
Oh, now I'm more interested in talking about Friday night, kid. Jack tells me you win, you get a crack at the title.
Yeah, that's right.
That's great, kid. I know you'll win. I'll be betting on you. Now, you better grab yourself a shower.
Oh, yeah. Lieutenant.
Yeah?
You never can tell about fights, you know, Lieutenant.
What's the matter?
Well, it's just that I wouldn't want you to lose any money betting.
Hey, shut up. What kind of talk is that? You beat it to the shower. Tell Irv to give you a rub down before your legs tighten up.
Well, I was on
cut it out. Do like I say.
What makes you feel any better, kid? I never bet big on the fights.
Okay, Lieutenant.
Come on, Danny.
Yeah. Your boy is not exactly looking forward to Friday, is he, Jack? For a 2-1 favorite.
Let's get out of here. I'll walk you down 8th Avenue. Sunlight. The gym gives me the Williams.
I can't figure it. Your boy trying to tout me off of betting on him.
Grief, Danny. Do me a favor, forget it.
Huh?
He's like this all the time before a fight. Why, you should believe it, 2 months ago, we was fighting at the arena. What's the matter?
Hey, get that. Over there in that convertible across the street.
Oh, yeah. Her.
You know that? Boy, on a spring day like this, I could wish I were 20 years younger. Say, wouldn't that break your heart?
Yeah, she probably would, too.
What's the matter, Jack? What's wrong with her?
Come on, I got ulcers.
Hey, she's so beautiful, she's untrue.
Come on.
Well, you know her? Who is she?
Trouble. Trouble for my boy. Louise is her first name, Lindsay is her last name, but her middle name is Trouble.
Oh?
5 weeks ago, she turns up and he's been running around with her ever since.
It's quite a car she's got. She in the money?
Ah, not that. The car is the kid's. He buys it day after he drops Kid Leviton in the third.
Oh, forget it, Jack. A young fighter and a beautiful like that go together like 5 and 2. It's a natural.
Don't help my ulcers. Take it easy, Lieutenant.
Where you going?
Back to the gym. I get thinking. When I get thinking, I get worrying. When I get worrying, I got to get back and have a look at my boy. I'll see you around.
Hi, Danny. What do you know for sure?
Not much, Al.
Where you been, Stillman's?
Yeah, watching young Terry Rogan. He goes to the Garden Friday night.
Oh, yeah, Rogan.
What about him?
Keep your money in your pocket, Danny.
What?
Big Sig Sherman's in town, you know. Huh? I'll see you around, Danny.
Hello. Hello, I want to speak to Tony Florida.
This is Florida.
It's Danny Clover, Tony. Are you awake?
What time is it?
It's a little afternoon.
Danny, you know I don't close my club till 4 in the morning.
Listen, Tony, wake up, will you? You ever hear of a guy called Big Sig Sherman? Hello? Hello?
I'm still here, Danny.
Oh. I take it you heard of him, huh?
I heard of him. Very rapid citizen.
Am I out of line asking you about him, Tony?
You're never out of line, Danny.
Well, what can you tell me about this Sherman?
Big Sig is a businessman, Danny. A very big businessman.
Yeah?
He's a careful businessman. He likes to make sure of his profits, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, where's he from?
His home?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but he's got an address in Hot Springs, Arkansas.
What's he doing in town, Tony? Do you know?
Big Sig is in the syndicate, Danny. I think you better ask your other questions from somebody else.
But listen, Tony. The syndicate. So the syndicate is on this. That's all I need.
We pause to say there'll be laughter on the old Erie Canal and in a modern high school classroom tonight as Helen Hayes stars in the famous comedy The Farmer Takes a Wife on CBS's Electric Theater, and as Eve Arden stars as America's favorite teacher, our Miss Brooks. In The Farmer Takes a Wife, Miss Hayes will be heard as a canal boat cook who has to choose between farm life and the rip-roaring, colorful life she has known on the canal. As our Miss Brooks, Eve Arden will be the object of a raiding party by a rival high school faculty. The bait for her services being a handsome male teacher. On a night known for its comedy on CBS, you'll delight in the expert comedy of these two great feminine stars as the Electric Theater and our Miss Brooks come your way tonight over most of these same CBS network stations. And now back to Broadway and Detective Danny Clover, who likes to pick up his cigars and gossip at the same place, the Cleveland Hotel cigar stand.
Well, hello, sweetheart.
Lieutenant Clover. Just who I've been waiting for. What are you doing Friday night? Are you on duty?
Friday night?
A visiting fireman was by here this morning and bought a dozen tickets for the fight Friday night, and then turned around and bought 2 more. The last 2 for me. Ringside.
What do you know?
I did not either. All I did was smile at him and to say I wished I could get to see a fight sometime. You want to come with me?
I'll let you know later, Sally. Now, give me a handful of cigars.
Give me a handful of money. And what I hear, it's going to be a fight worth seeing. This Terry Rogan, you know, fighting Patsy Perini. The odds are 2 to 1, this character was telling me.
Yes, so I hear.
Well, and from what he was saying, he couldn't understand why Perini was such a favorite.
Perini's not the favorite.
Well, this character said he was. He said the odds had changed overnight. You think maybe the fix is in, Danny?
Did you ever hear of Big Sig Sherman, Sally?
I heard of him. Big Sig, they call him. They should call him Sure Shot Sherman, the way he hates to take chances. Is he in town?
Give me my change, sweetheart.
Say, what's your hurry? I offer him a free-for-nothing pass ringside.
I'll have to let you know about it later, Sally. I'm late to check in at the precinct.
What is all this? Assign you to the garden fight? Now look, Clover.
I'm sure it's not going to be a square rattle, Captain, unless I can just get the time.
I need every man in the squad to work in this narcotics hall, Clover.
Look, sir. Yesterday, Terry Hogan was a 2-1 favorite. Overnight, the odds switch. Now the other boy is favorite. Same odds. They'll get even longer.
That's not evidence.
Not evidence. Captain Forster, you hear what I said? The boy was a 2-1 favorite yesterday. He's now a 2-1 short ender. Odds don't change like that unless something's up. Well, you can see what happened. Whoever put this fight in the tank got big money down here, Detroit, Los Angeles, New Orleans, all over the country. And then somebody talked. The word has gotten around. Why, by fight time Friday night, the odds will be 10-1 in favor of Perini, who doesn't figure even to go the limit with Rogan, unless it's a tank job.
If you really think there's something wrong, pull in some gamblers and ask them questions. You know enough gamblers. What about your friend Tony Florida?
I've asked enough questions already, sir, to make me feel this fight is in the tank. Now, I can keep it square if you'll just assign me to it till Friday night.
Well, it's a waste of time.
Oh, it's just 2 days, sir. Tom Donnelly and
Donnelly's busy on the narcotics hall, and that's that. And you should be, too, and you will if you don't get out of my office in a hurry.
Thank you, Captain.
Oh.
Hiya, Terry. Can I come in?
Yeah, sure. Sure, Lieutenant. What's up? I'm supposed to be in bed by now, you know.
Yeah, I know. Jack Siegel said he didn't mind if I stopped by for just a minute or two.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. You wouldn't know why I came by, would you, Terry?
Why, no, I got no idea, Lieutenant. Maybe to tell me to remember my right tomorrow night.
Yeah. In a way, that's it.
That was certainly some fight that night, Lieutenant. I'm glad you were in my corner. I learned a lot since then.
Yeah?
Sure, that Jack Siegel, he's one smart manager.
He's not too smart for his own good, is he, Terry?
What do you mean?
Something funny's going on with the odds in this fight, Terry. First, it's 2-1 on you, and, well, if you wreck it, I figure it's an overlay at that. Then all of a sudden, since overnight, the odds get twisted around to where you're the long shot. How about that?
Oh, well, that's just gambler talk, isn't it? Who knows why these things happen?
Yeah. Who knows?
Hey, Lieutenant, you don't think I'd do anything, well, crooked, do you?
You tell me, Terry.
Honest, Lieutenant, you got me all wrong.
Who's this Louise Lindsay, Terry? How long have you known her?
Now, look, Lieutenant, just forget her. See, keep her out of this.
What's there to keep her out of, Terry?
Why, what we're talking about. I'm engaged to Louise, Lieutenant. That's absolutely straight.
Where's she from?
None of your business. She's my fiancée, that's all.
Oh, just your fiancée.
That's right. We're getting hitched right after this fight, if you want to know.
Sure. Congratulations, kid. Get a good night's sleep. I'm sorry if I sounded off a little.
Yeah, that's okay. Night.
Don't forget to keep your right hand up tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Yeah. You do that.
Evening, Danny. I saved the table for you. It'll be quiet over in the corner.
Thanks, Tony. Say, the girl show up yet?
Yeah, she's here. You're doing very well for yourself these days.
Something, isn't she?
Black hair. I prefer hair like that. It's on the level. With a blonde, who knows?
Oh, the hair, yes. You could be sure about the hair. And thanks, Tony. Louise Lindsay?
That's right.
I'm sorry to be late. I'm Danny Clover.
Sit down, Lieutenant.
Thanks.
What's so important you've got to meet me in a nightclub at 11 at night?
I understand you're engaged to that fighter, Terry Rogan.
Yeah, I called Terry to tell him you wanted to see me, and he got all upset. It's no good for him the night before he fights. Tells me you think there's something phony about the fight.
I was getting that idea.
And you think maybe I'm responsible, that is?
You've heard of the syndicate.
Syndicate? No, what's that?
You ever hear of a guy called Sherman?
Sherman?
Mm-hmm.
Sherman. Oh, I've heard of a lot of Shermans, but I don't know any. What's his business?
Well, right now I got an idea his business is bothering your boyfriend.
Look, suppose you stop talking in riddles and tell me what this is all about. You know you've got Terry all upset.
Hey, that's a big rock you're wearing on your third finger.
Mr. Clover, let me set you straight. I don't know what you're thinking. But Terry and I are in love. We're engaged to get married, and the day's been set. This diamond's no problem.
Oh, I can see that.
And I don't know anything about any fixed fights. The only thing I have to do with prize fighting is trying to see that Terry gets out of it.
He wins, he gets a crack at the title. Why should you want him to get out of it?
Because I don't want our kids to have a father with a tin ear and a buzzing in his head and a pair of broken hands. He's still young and healthy. Well, he won't stay young, but I want him to stay healthy.
You really like him, don't you?
You're catching on.
I'm beginning to think I had you taped all wrong, Miss Lindsay. But if your boyfriend is mixed up in a fixed fight, you'll help me then, won't you?
I doubt it.
How's that?
That's his business, not mine.
They boiled you about 10 minutes, didn't they, Miss Lindsay?
You think I'm hard-boiled. I'll tell you something about me, Mr. Clover. I was born in the hard coal fields of Pennsylvania near Pittsburgh. My father was killed in a mine disaster down there. That was 19 years ago, and I was only 2. My mother had to bring up me and 3 others all by herself. If I sound hard-boiled, that's why. Now, all I'm interested in is getting married to Terry. We're going to buy a little business.
Oh, yeah? What kind of a business is that?
A dry cleaning business, maybe. Maybe you'll send us your trade.
I'll do that,
Oh,
Miss
there
Lindsay.
you are. I almost couldn't find out where you two were.
Jack, how are you? You know Mr. Siegel, Miss Lindsay?
We've met.
Hey, sit down, Jack. What are you drinking?
Milk. What'd you do to my boy? You got him all upset.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
He calls me, nothing will do, but I got to come over here and tell you not to bother Lindsay here. Makes me promise.
Oh, I wouldn't say I was bothering Miss Lindsay. I was just... you want me for something, Tony?
Sorry to bother you, Danny.
Oh, not at all. Excuse me, Miss Lindsay. What is it, Tony?
The man you were asking me about?
Oh, yeah?
He just came in with a party. I told Victor to seat him at this table next to yours. He's a big man coming now.
Right, Tony. Thanks. Couldn't be sweeter.
Right this way, please.
Oh, hey, pardon me. You're Mr. Sherman.
That's right.
Oh, my name's Clover. I've been hearing a lot about you. You come to town to the fight tomorrow night.
You could get a reputation for being a pretty curious guy.
Oh, no hard feelings. I heard you were in town to see Terry Rogan's fight. I thought maybe you'd like to shake hands with his manager. Here, right here. Jack Siegel. This is Mr. Sherman.
Right.
Yeah, and this here is the Rogan's fiancée, Miss Lindsay, Mr. Sherman.
How do you do?
This the man you were asking me about?
That's right.
Mr. Sherman, I understand you've been bothering Terry about something. I won't say crooked because I don't know about that, but just don't get him upset.
You, Siegel, if you're Rogan's manager, why don't you see to it he don't get mixed up with pancakes like this one?
Well, now that you mention it, I think it's a good idea.
No, let's all keep our temper.
Then tell Big Sig to move his load along.
You've got some polite friends, mister.
Ain't it the truth? So please accept my apologies, Mr. Sherman. I'll see you around.
There's always that chance.
Whoever that was, Danny, he got my ulcers going again.
Well, I don't know why he should do that to you, Jack. How about it, Miss Lindsay? You want me to give you a lift home?
Yeah, I gotten pretty sick of this drum in the last couple of minutes.
Oh, by the way, you're going to the fight tomorrow, aren't you?
No. I don't like to watch them.
Well, then maybe you and I could listen to it over the radio together. Now, wouldn't that be fun? Good night, Jack. Sergeant.
Yeah?
Put this on the teletype to Washington, will you?
Sure, Danny, right away. Hey,
Dad?
Bureau of Mines. What's your business with them?
I found a gold mine last night. Go on, will you? Get on it.
I talked to that guy in Hot Springs, Lieutenant.
Yeah? So?
So here's all the dope he had on Sigmund Sherman.
Give. See. Picked up 3 times for vagrancy. Once on the Sullivan Act, once for... Yeah, it's quite a guy. It's never an indictment, much less a conviction. Yeah, let's see. Operated racetrack, 1940-42. Slot machine business, 1940-45. Married, Havana, 1948.
Got all you need, Danny?
Yeah. Thanks, Sarge. Just make sure we keep a tail on him until I say different.
Can you make it to the fights tonight with me, Danny?
I'm sorry, baby. I got a date.
A date, Lieutenant, at your age?
At my age? Oh, I say it's business, Sally. No kidding. But you could do me a favor.
Tell me, why should I?
Well, listen, you know these unlawful citizens who take bets on various sporting events?
Yes.
Well, of course, it'd be strictly out of line for me to know any of those characters myself.
Are you kidding?
But I would appreciate it if you could hunt one of them up. Place a sawbuck with them at the prevailing odds.
Okay, a sawbuck goes on Perini.
I like Terry Rogan.
Well, I don't know him personally, Danny, but didn't you hear? This is a sure thing for Perini. It's all over town.
Nevertheless, Sally, do me the favor of placing my sawbuck where it'll do the most good. On Terry Rogan.
Oh, no, please, Danny. The boy goes on in an hour, and he's nervous enough now.
Not as nervous as you'll be later if I don't get to talk to him now. Which is his dressing room? That one over there?
You got a search warrant?
Jokes.
Danny, my insides are all churning around like a tornado, and now
Which
you
is
come
his
along.
dressing room?
Right here.
Thanks, Jack. Look me up after the fight.
Please. No.
Hiya, Terry. Hey, sit down, kid. I got news for you. Would you mind, Jack?
Look, give me a... Oh, why wasn't I an insurance salesman or a bricklayer?
Just a minute. Come in. Oh, it's you.
We had a date, remember? Well, now, don't tell me you haven't got a radio.
I'm just going out, Lieutenant. I'm meeting some friends until after...
Oh, no. You can't do this. You can't stand me up. We made a date, remember?
Yeah, but I...
Oh, no, goodness gracious. Look, it's after 10 already. The fight would have started. Ah, there's the radio. Hey, don't tell me you weren't going to listen.
I turned the radio off. I don't like fights. I don't like to listen.
This is going to be a good fight, Miss Lindsay. You may be surprised.
And there's a left to the body from Rogan. And Perini takes another to the head, and another and a hard to the body, like a whirlwind. And now Perini's trying to tie him up across the ring, and Terry Rogan gets in the left hook as they break. This Rogan's really got killer in him tonight. They didn't tell me this was a grudge fight, but there's a right to the head and another, and a left to the midsection of Perini.
What's the matter, Miss Lindsay?
Perini's got the rope, and now he's down. Perini's down. 3, 4, 5.
You surprised, Miss Lindsay?
7, 8, 9, 10. Terry Rogan wins by a whirlwind knockout in 1:17 of the first round. And what a contender for the welterweight title this boy, Terry Rogan, is. Well, it's all over, and here is Bill.
I don't think you figured it that way, did you, Miss Lindsay?
I'm very glad for Terry, and glad it's over so
You
quickly.
know something? He probably never told you this, but I'm the guy that taught him how to use his right. In more ways than one.
Mr. Clover, I've got to go to meet him. I promised to meet him after the fight.
I know you did, Miss Lindsay. But you see, by now, he knows that you're not going to meet him, and never really meant to meet him.
What do you mean? You know we're engaged.
Oh, I hand it to you, Miss Lindsay. You're a good performer. The trouble is your imagination is a little too rich for your blood. You got going on that hard luck story about the hard coal mines. But there's no hard coal near Pittsburgh, Miss Lindsay. The hard coal is up around Scranton. And about your old man dying in a mine cave-in, there were no fatalities from mine disasters near Pittsburgh 19 years ago, like you said. Oh, no, I know a lot about you.
Well, I lied about my age.
I figured that possibility, Miss Lindsay. Because you're such a good performer, I wanted to give you all the best of it. Then when Sherman showed up, you remember Sherman, Miss Lindsay? The guy you said you never heard of. Oh, you had to go call him by his nickname, Big Sig. And you never heard me call him that.
You're just bluffing. You've got nothing to go
now,
on.
Last night, if you'd said that, you couldn't have been smarter. But since then, Miss L., I had a chance to ask some questions around. Old police routine. Well, I say, but let's not let all this talk upset our evening. Why, we got a date, remember?
Yeah? A date?
Yeah.
You think we can be nice about this?
Yeah. You and I are going to step out together. We're going to a place that stays open all night. A place on West 47th Street called the 16th Precinct Station House. Big Sig is waiting for you there. And you wouldn't want to keep your husband waiting, would you, Mrs. Sherman?
Well, good work, Danny. You sure you got a case?
Nothing on the kid that'll convict him, but the other two. Yeah, the file we got from Hot Springs ties the two of them up. They were married a year ago in Havana.
Yeah, must have been rough on young Rogan.
No rougher than it was on me. Had to be the one to tell him. First, he was just sitting there, bawling like a baby, you know?
I've seen the girl. I know how he must have felt.
Yeah, but that kid's a fighter. I could tell. The tears still wet on his face. He gets down off at the table, and I look at him. And then I begin to feel sorry for Perini, the boy he's going to fight.
Well, I hope the commission won't have to lift his license. Say, how about the manager, Jack Siegel?
Oh, he's in the clear. Never knew anything about it.
Where are you going, Danny?
I don't know. Out. Walk around somewhere. You know, it's a funny thing.
Yeah? What's that?
She told him after they were married they'd open a dry cleaning business. The only thing she wanted to take to the cleaners was him. It's midnight on my beat now. The street's in full swing. If you want to get to the top quick, Broadway is the place to do it. But there are plenty of guys around. Angle guys. Weisenheimers. Digging holes to help you fall back to the bottom. I can only hope I find them. Those guys figuring angles on the gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world. Broadway, my beat.
Columbia has just brought you Broadway's My Beat with Anthony Ross as Detective Danny Clover. Gene Carson was Sally, Julie Stevens was Louise, Bill Quinn was Terry, Gilbert Mack was Terry's manager, and James Goss, Peter Capel, Paul Luther, and Ted Jewett were also members of today's cast. Today's broadcast was written by Peter Lyons and produced and directed by John Dietz. The musical score was composed and conducted by Robert Stringer. This is Bern Bennett speaking.
Broadway's My Beat, with Anthony Ross as Detective Danny Clover.
Broadway Is My Beat. From Times Square to Columbus Circle. The gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world. It's not a street, it's a merry-go-round, where you can't tell whether that man in front of you is thinking about a milkshake or murder. Well, that's the street I'm walking. It's around 4 on a Saturday afternoon when I get to Times Square. I'm standing by the police information center there, thinking how cute the pretty kids, all dolled up and out with their boyfriends. I'm talking to the cop on duty when
Excuse me, officer.
just a second, a nervous young doll, looks like from the 3 I League, a cinch she's from out of town, comes up to the duty sergeant.
What can I do for you?
Well, I know this is going to sound silly, but my husband...
Yes?
Well, I don't know what's happened to him.
You mean he's lost?
Well, I hope so.
Huh?
That is, I'd rather he was lost than run over or...
Take it, Danny.
Detective Clover, ma'am. Broadway squad. Maybe I can help you.
Well, I hate to bother you, and I know it's probably all a mistake, but...
Yeah?
Well, Andy, that's my husband.
Uh-huh.
He left the hotel just before dinner time, about noon it was, and he said he'd be right back. But now it's after 4, and he's not... Yes, the Astor right across the street over there. And he's never done anything like this before. And it's our first trip to New York, so I'm scared maybe. Oh, I know he's probably all right.
What's his name?
Andrew Jenkins. He had his billfold with him with his name in it, so if
Well, that's a help, man.
And all our money in it, too.
Hey, Sergeant.
Yeah?
Hey, call the precinct. Tell him to check the hospital. Man named Andrew Jenkins.
Jenkins.
Andrew Jenkins, age...
27.
You got that?
Right, Daddy. Hello? Carnahan at the information center. Line
Come on inside and sit down, Mrs. Jenkins.
Oh, well, thank you.
That's right.
I'm really embarrassed to come here with this story, but I don't know.
That's perfectly okay. It happens all the time.
And they always show up after, don't they?
Sure. Say, where was your husband going when he left you around noon?
Well, I don't know exactly. That's the trouble.
Well, didn't he say anything that would give you an
Well, he
idea?
just said he was going out on a mysterious errand.
Huh?
But that was just to tease me. You see, today is our wedding anniversary, and but I'm sure he was just going out to get me a surprise present.
Yeah, sure. Any word yet?
They're checking.
How long you been in town, Mr. Jenkins?
Oh, we got here yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, any friends, relatives in town?
No.
There ain't no place you can think of where he might have gone.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, you do that. Nobody by that name has been received at 3 o'clock, Danny.
Oh, can't you help me?
Look, lady, the best thing for you to do is to go back to your...
No, please, don't tell me to go back to my hotel room. I've been sitting there all alone for more than 4 hours.
Yeah. Hey, Sergeant, call the Astor. Any messages for Mrs. Jenkins, you pick 'em up. I'm going to take her walking.
Walking?
Yeah, sure. Come on. Yeah, a little outdoors is very helpful. Oh, it's maybe not so good as the outdoors in Omaha or Idaho or one of them states like where you come from.
We're from Indiana.
Well, that's just as I figured. And you get to town yesterday.
Yes.
Now, what's the first thing you do?
The first thing, we checked in at the hotel.
Uh-huh. No phone calls to anybody?
No.
Well, then what did you do?
Well, we went out to have a look at Broadway, just a couple of hicks.
Uh-huh.
No waiting for seats, seating on all floors immediately. No waiting for seats anywhere in the house.
Well, which way did you walk?
Well, from the hotel, just where we're walking now.
Good. Now, you make like I'm your husband and you try to remember everything you said to each other. You know what you looked at, the stores, the people, the movie houses, everything like that.
Yes, but...
Yeah, now he went out to buy you a present, didn't he? He's never been in town before. The only stores he sees are these stores along here. Well, which one did he go to? That's what we want to know. So think.
Well, we didn't want to go to a movie, not the first night in town.
Yeah, so?
And then, well, I remember this nut store, and he said he didn't like the smell of nuts roasting.
Yeah, well, that's two of us.
And there, we stopped in and looked at this window at the little turtle.
Turtles?
Yes.
10 cents a turtle. Write your name on it and send it home. Hey, would he have come back here to buy you a turtle?
No.
Now think, Mrs. Jenkins.
Yes.
Wasn't there something you told your husband you wanted? Something that gave him the idea he should sneak out and buy it?
I can't think, Lieutenant. I can't think of anything except where is Andy.
Yeah, but you've got to think...
I know. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. It's no good, Lieutenant. Everything I see reminds me of him. Yesterday, I remember how we stopped and looked at this window, all the jewelry they were auctioning off. Lieutenant, what's happened to him? Why can't you do something?
Did you look at anything particular in this window?
Well, what difference does it make? Wait, yes, there was something. An old-fashioned gold watch.
Is it still there?
Hmm?
Now, do you see it anywhere in the window?
No, it's gone.
Come on. Let's go in.
All right, $6.50 once. We'll make it $6.75. Another 2 bits for the elegant pen and pencil set. Do I hear $6.75? Going twice at $6.50. This is 18-karat gold watch, ladies and gentlemen. Guaranteed a lifetime of distinguished use. Do I hear? Sold for $6.50. Hi, Eddie. How's it, Lieutenant?
Hey, could I speak to you a minute?
Be right down.
Now, don't worry, miss. We'll find out if he's been in here.
I hope so.
Anything itching?
Well, it could be. Hey, tell your boy to take over a minute, will you? I want to talk to you.
Anything for you, sweetheart. Arnie, take it. Okay, Danny, follow me. What do you want I should be on the lookout for this time, sweetheart? A hot ferry boat?
It's nothing like that, Eddie. Hey, Meet Mr. Jenkins.
Oh, a pleasure.
We're trying to get a line on a young guy who would have come in here about noon today, Eddie. Describe him, will you, Mr. Jenkins?
Well, he's about your height, only heavier, bigger.
He'd make him about 27, Eddie. From Indiana.
Oh, Indiana.
Yeah.
Yes, he has brown hair, straight, and hazel eyes.
Hayes, you had an old-fashioned gold watch in your window yesterday, Eddie. It's not there now. Well, maybe he came...
I make him.
Huh?
That did it. Sure. I make him now. A light gray suit and a green hat.
Yes, that's it.
It's a screwy thing, Danny.
What?
This guy, your husband, lady?
Yes, do you know where he is?
He come in around noon and he asks about that watch. And just 2 minutes before, a couple of guys are in asking about the same watch. 2 minutes. Less.
Yeah, so what?
Sure. I got him tapped. Indiana. Nice-looking young guy.
Oh, the watch.
Yeah. So, both these parties want I should knock the watch down. A real coincidence. So I knock it down. They're bidding against each other. They both want it real bad. Your husband? A stubborn character, lady?
Yes, well, if he wants something...
They bid this watch up.
Yeah.
I get $62 for it. It's weight. I got news for you. It's weight maybe 25, the outside.
Huh? How come?
Beats me, sweetheart. The bidding's up higher than a cat's back.
Yeah, but who got it?
The young guy. Your husband, lady. He got it. Takes it away from me with a grin. If it had been any bigger, his face would have split. He goes out. The other two guys, the guys who's bidding against him, they go out too. Looking pretty sore at each other. They didn't have any more ready cash with him.
Then where did he go? Which way did he go?
Which way?
Yeah.
Who looks? I seen the three of them standing out on the sidewalk for a few seconds. All the time I'm trying to figure what's with this watch. They should get so grabby for it. Then all the three of them head up Broadway together.
Together?
The young guy, your husband, lady, in the middle.
But I don't understand. Why should
Is
he...
all this around noon, Eddie?
Give or take 20 minutes.
But I know he doesn't know anybody in New
The
York.
watch, Eddie. Where'd it come from?
Routine, sweetheart. In a consignment from one of the upstate pawnbrokers. You want I should look it up, maybe?
You tell me. Was there nothing special?
You mean, was it hot? I give you my word,
But
Andy.
why should Andy go with these men? Those men, maybe they killed him or kidnapped him.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Now count to 10.
But
lady.
you don't do anything. Where is
Oh,
he?
look, I'll tell you how it was. He came in here to buy you this watch for your anniversary, right? Yes, he's feeling good because he got it, right? Now, like Eddie said, he's grinning. He goes out on the street. Probably he says to these other two, come on, he says to them, I'll stand your drink. Celebrate. It's his anniversary, too, remember?
A very reasonable story.
Yes.
Yeah, but 6'2" and even, he's standing in a saloon right now having a friendly dram with his two new friends.
But then why didn't he at least call me?
Well, that's a question to ask him when he shows up. But don't let it louse up your holiday to New York.
Sure, and don't stay sore at him, lady. Remember, he bought it for you.
Come on. I'll walk you back to your hotel.
I just hope that you're right. But I'm scared. I'm all alone. I'm frightened. Any phone messages from Mrs. Jenkins? Room 1526, please. No, nothing.
Oh, now just don't get rattled, Mrs. Jenkins. Look, just get used to the idea he's got this one wild oat he wants to stick in the ground, okay?
Well, you'll let me know if you hear anything, won't you, Lieutenant? If there's any report.
Yeah, I'll call you before 6, and that's a promise.
Well, thank you, Lieutenant. Are you leaving now?
Just over to get a cigar, Mrs. Jenkins, but, yeah, then I gotta get back to station house. Don't worry, I'll call you.
All right. Goodbye.
And just for now.
Lieutenant Clover, who's the lady I see you with?
Hiya, lover. A couple of perfectos. If you can stop buffing your nails long enough.
What'd you do to her? She don't look happy.
Well, you can take warning, Sally. She had a husband, but she let him get away. Hey, let me use your phone to check in, will you?
It's all yours.
This is Clover, baby. Give me the precinct. What do you know for sure, Sally?
The most exciting thing that's happened around here all day is I got a run in my stocking. Like a cemetery.
Yeah?
I take my ossified oath Nobody's even come around to try to get two on the aisle for Kiss Me Kate.
Hiya, Sergeant. Lieutenant Clover.
Oh, business must be tough. Did you see the fight at the Garden last night, Danny?
Hold it a second, lover. Homicide? Where'd you say, Sergeant?
Get the bloodhound.
Yeah. Okay, I'll get right over.
Did I hear you say homicide, Danny?
Some guy got the business in a hotel basement on 45th Street.
Anybody we know?
Well, if we don't, it's too late for an introduction.
Hello, Danny. You got here quick enough.
Hi, Doc. Hi, Tom.
Good to see you, Danny. Hey, you guys got all the pictures you need. I want to lug this body out of here.
Don't bust your buttons, Junior.
Hey, is this the fella?
Yeah, stab, Danny. Very sharp knife, a stiletto probably. At least 8 inches long. Very neat, professional job.
It's not much blood.
Oh, very little, eh? You just left him here, leaning back against the wall.
Who found him, Tom? Porter?
Yeah, that's right.
How long ago was he stabbed, Doc?
An hour at the outside, Denny.
Yeah. Yeah, he's still a little warm. Hey, Doc.
What is it?
I know this guy.
Yeah?
Yeah, you remember about 10, 11 years ago, the bank messenger who was robbed right here in the district? Right here on 46th Street it was, remember?
Yeah, sure.
And we got the two guys who did it but never found the money. This is one of them. Wait a minute. Schultz or Schwartz or something.
Chance was his name. Crouch Chance.
That's it, Chance. How about that? He gets it right back here on 45th. Hey, what was with his sidekick, the other guy? Druckman, wasn't it?
You remember. It took you fellows a week to pick them both up. They were sent up the river, and Druckman died in the pen a couple of years ago.
That's right. And this baby must have just gotten out, paroled. Am I right?
You're right.
All adds up, Danny.
What do you got on him so far, Tom?
Well, the clerk said that he and 2 other men checked in here earlier today, room 503. I've been waiting for you.
Well, what are we waiting for? Let's go.
These pass keys. Yeah, this is the one.
What have we got here? Hey, cut those ropes off, will you, Tom?
All right.
Get him some water, Tom.
Oh, wait till I get my hands on those.
You talk fast, mister. Who gave it a chance, you or your pal?
Chance? Gave what? I don't know what you're talking about. Let me get to a phone.
Yeah, drink this water.
You'll get to a phone when I'm good and ready to let you. What's your name?
Just a minute.
No, just a minute, Jack. You listen to me.
Listen to me if you're a cop. I was practically kidnapped, drugged, tied up, and gagged, and I had a gold watch stolen from me. So don't you get tough with me. I'm going to make a phone call to my wife or else.
Say, is your name by any chance Jerkins from Iowa?
Jenkins from Indiana.
Well, how do you do? You go right ahead and make the phone call, Mr. Jenkins. Coffee make you feel any better, Jenkins?
Well, this is more like it.
That's good. Now, look, I'd like to let you get upstairs and see your wife as quick as possible. I know you want to go, but first...
What happened?
Yeah.
You want to know, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not too sure myself. I know I bid against those 2 men for the watch that Grace had said she liked.
Yeah.
And after, on the street, they suggested they buy me a drink.
Yeah, well, then what happened?
Well, we went to a bar up the street, and they started to get tough. Oh, shucks, I'd have given them the watch for what I paid for it if I knew they wanted it that bad, but they got tough with me, and I don't like that.
That I learned.
So when I said no, I guess then's when they doped one of my drinks. Next thing I know, I'm in that hotel room all tied up like you saw me.
Now think. Did you hear them talk at all?
Talk?
Yeah.
Yes, they talked. The younger one, he was laughing at something the older man said.
Uh-huh.
Something about how it had been right under their noses all along.
The younger one?
Yes, and I remember his name, too. The older man called him, Druckman.
Druckman?
What?
Never mind. Go on. What else did they say?
Well, then there was something about some gold or something. I think they were figuring on getting some money or some gold or something that had been hidden. It had something to do with the watch.
Words. Remember their words.
This gold they were looking for, somebody had scratched where the hiding place was on the inside cover of the watch.
Well, now, once they knew where that was, why didn't they take off right away?
Well, they said they couldn't right away.
They said they had to wait for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah, but what they said, the words. What was the reason?
I just remember the young guy laughing and saying something about gold and golden. It was ironical, he said, about the gold and the golden.
What was ironical?
I don't know, Lieutenant. I was still pretty dopey, I guess. Hey, what was this gold, do you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it was the haul on a robbery. $40,000 worth of gold certificates. It was hidden somewhere. Somewhere near here, I'm sure. If only...
Anyway, they left me my money.
Here. Yeah, I got the check. Skip it.
Oh, well, okay, thanks. Thing that gets me sore, though, is today's my wedding anniversary, and Grace wanted that watch.
No, I got to get along. Hey, you better get upstairs to your wife. Here, let's cut through the lobby. I'll look at the elevators.
Yeah, I guess I better. I phoned her I was all right, but I didn't mention all this. She worries. If only...
Yeah?
Well, it's just that I want that watch back.
If all I had to worry about was a watch.
Grace said she liked it.
Yeah. Hey, your elevators are over there.
I know. I want to get some cigarettes first.
Oh.
So, Lieutenant? Give.
2 packs, please.
I hear it was the guy who pulled that robbery back in 38.
That's right, Sally.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Who killed him, Danny?
Well, there were these 2 guys, lover, and looks like one of them didn't want to go splits on the loot.
Greedy man.
Yeah.
Who was he?
From what Jenkins here says, it sounds like it must have been Druckman's son.
Druckman? Who's he?
Oh, Chance's original partner on the stick-up. Oh, by the way, meet Andrew Jenkins. This is Sally.
How do you do?
How do you do?
Excuse me. Hotel Astor Smoke Shop, good evening. For tonight? 2 tickets? Well, I'll see. For which...
A cigarette, Lieutenant?
No, I never use them, thanks.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, sir. Well, if you'll just stop by on your way out, I'm sure I'll be able to arrange it for you.
You sure gave him the brush.
Big spenders. He wanted free tickets to the New Yorker Theater tonight.
Free?
Mm-hmm.
The New Yorker? Hey, there's no New Yorker theater anymore, is there?
Oh, I know. It's one of those radio theaters now. I can't start trying to remember the new names they give those theaters. To me, the New Yorker is still the New Yorker. The Hammerstein is still the Hammerstein, and the Golden will always be the Golden, and the...
Sally.
What?
The Golden. That's on 45th Street. So was that stick-up.
So what?
You remember, kid?
Yeah, the Golden. Gold in the Golden.
No wonder they couldn't go right away. No wonder they had to wait. Today's a matinee day. The theater was full. Oh, what time is it?
Not quite 5:30.
Hey, what's with you 2 guys anyway?
The matinee crowd will just about be out. Now, you wait in your room, Jenkins, and I'll say... Hey, where do you think you're going?
With you, Lieutenant. I'm going to get my watch.
But I told
Let's
you to...
go. We haven't got all day.
Now, listen, kid. I'm letting you stick around, but don't go getting any ideas you're going to be a hero.
Don't worry, Lieutenant.
Hey, you! Where do you think you're going, mister?
Is that you, Rosie? It's Danny Clover.
Oh, it's you, Lieutenant.
Yeah.
For a minute there, I thought maybe you were...
Hey, you've been on the stage door all afternoon, Rosie.
All afternoon, Lieutenant. You think I'm crazy? Stay on the job all the time? No, sir. When the curtain goes up, I'm downstairs taking the lid off of those stage hands at gin.
How about when the curtain comes down again?
Oh, then I'm right back here on the job, Lieutenant. $6 richer.
You see anybody you didn't recognize around here? I mean, anybody had no business being here.
Huh?
Yeah, well, where'd he go?
Well, he stood around for a while until finally his girl come out, and then they went...
Oh, Rosie, cut the routine. I'm serious. You see anybody around here who didn't belong?
Yes, I did, Lieutenant.
Yeah?
Matter of fact, first I saw you, I thought it was this guy come back again. There was a young fella by here maybe 15 minutes ago, just when the house was letting out. Tried to slip by me on the stairs down to the cellar.
Cellar?
Sure. There's a basement here in the Golden. Runs right under the whole orchestra.
Lieutenant, he must be... This guy have slipped by in the last 15 minutes.
No. Wait a minute. I had to answer the phone in the office a couple of minutes ago. He could have sneaked down...
Why, he must still be down there. How many ways to get in the cellar, Rosie?
Well, one door back here under the stage. Another door up front in the downstairs lounge, but it's locked. But why should anyone want to get down there? There's nothing but steam pipes, furnace, and all things like that.
Show me where the door is under the stage, Rosie. And quick. Is this it?
Yeah, but here, let me open the door.
Close it! Never open a door with a big light on back of you.
Yeah.
You might as well send the guy in there a special delivery telegram.
Yeah, but who would...
Never mind. Turn the light off. Jenkins, get back there by the stairs. You too, Rosie.
But listen, Lieutenant,
Save it. The light. Turn it out, Rosie. Thanks.
But we can't see.
Yes, you're catching on now. And neither can he. You're getting nervous in the dark, Buster? That's 4. How many you got left? That makes 6. No, you don't. All right, come back.
Lieutenant, what happened? Are you okay?
I should have remembered he had a knife. He'd used one already today. Hey, where's the light, Rosie? Come on, get up, you punk. You're not hurt bad.
Did he hurt you, Lieutenant?
Not a chance, Rosie.
What'd he do? Oh, stole that gold watch off of somebody, huh?
Yeah, that's right. Stole this gold watch off of this fella here. Hey, look. Look, have a look, Jenkins.
Huh?
See, scratched on the inside cover.
Back of steam pipes, north side of Golden.
Yeah. Here.
Hey, what are you doing?
Just getting a peek at your wallet, Junior. Oh, I'll take charge of this 40 grand, too. Yeah. Yeah, it's like we thought. Her name is Druckman.
So what?
It was your old man that died in stir.
It's no secret.
I get it now. Before we picked him up for that stick-up, your old man hid the dough and scratched where he hid it inside the watch, but he wouldn't tell Schranz, right? They wouldn't trust him.
You're telling it.
He wanted to wait till they were both out of stir. Then your old man dies, and the prison sends the watch they've been holding to your family. And you're such a bright boy. You pawned the watch. You never knew what it said there. It took Schantz to tell you.
He wasn't very grateful to Chance. A knife in the back.
Yeah, but the state will take care of that. Here. Let's get this guy to the station house. And then get you back to your wife. I got a surprise for you, Mrs. Jenkins.
Andy, darling, where have you been?
Happy anniversary, Grace. Here's the watch you said you liked.
Andy, but where have you been? I knew you were all right.
I had a little more trouble getting the watch than I thought I would.
Lieutenant, where did you find him?
Oh, I walked into a room, and he happened to be there.
And the man said you paid $62 for the watch, Andy. He said it wasn't worth any more than $25. No,
I know, honey, but
you're going to find out that watch is worth a lot more than $62, Mrs. Jenkins. I mean, when the insurance company cuts your husband in on the reward.
Reward? What reward? For what? Andy, where have you been?
You know, it beats me, Jenkins.
What does?
Here's the whole police force, and especially the Broadway squad, has been trying to run those 40 G's down for the last 11 years.
Yes?
40 G's?
And you should excuse the expression. An apple knocker hits town from Iowa for the first time in his life, and in 24 hours he's done the job.
Listen, Lieutenant, we're from... Oh, never mind.
Indiana, Iowa. Anyway, they're both in the 3I League. Oh, the sidewalks are really crowded now. It's 6 o'clock. For me, the day is just beginning. The bright lights reflect green and white and red on the faces of the people. The people laughing,
talking, hurrying by, on their way to what, I don't know. But chances are I'll have to make it my business when it happens. On the gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world. Broadway, my beat.
Columbia has brought you Anthony Ross as Detective Danny Clover in Broadway's My Beat. With him were Charlotte Holland as Grace, Jean Carson as Sally, Frank Butler as Andy, and John Forsythe as Tom. Others in the cast were Maurice Gottsfield and Tom Hoyer. Broadway's My Beat is written by Peter Lyon. It is produced and directed by John Dietz, and the musical score was composed and conducted by Robert Stringer. This is Vern Bennett speaking.